Chapter 26 Start the war! A distance of several kilometers. For ninjas, it only takes a few minutes to maintain their strength. The world record for 3 kilometers is 7 minutes and 20 seconds, and I will be exhausted after running. The distance between the two sides shortened rapidly. When entering the range of 500 meters, Guwen raised his head, looked out of the valley, and met a pair of mange ring Sharingan. Zhing. With a faint sound of iron rubbing, mange ring's pupil power was released. The scarlet light shone so clearly that it actually enveloped the positive area within a range of 500 meters into the pupil force. Mange ring Sharingan a middle dot illusion. Among them, the position where Guwen was located almost turned into a blood red color. Fire style a middle dot Hei long fire technique. Fire style flight to Mars. Fire style dark fire. Fire style Hyen Ha technique. At the same time, the Ukai tribe next to Fugaku cast a powerful fire style. Fire dragons tens of meters long, shooting sparks, strangely colored fireballs, surging fire waves. All kinds of high-level fire styles with exquisite shape changes roared out, hitting Guwen overwhelmingly. Looking around, the sky in the valley seemed to be covered in flames. The orange light shot straight into the sky, illuminating the night sky. People thousands of meters away can clearly see this vast flame. Have you started yet? People from Ukai met when they're starting to fight. Around the valley, countless spies from all over the ninja world waited silently and watched the battle tacitly. Thanks to Guwen's amazing and fierce record, some people have abandoned the title of Katawen, and called him Wen as Guwen called himself. Advertisement. This is a kind of respect for the strong, even if this strong man is a cruel and brutal person. But the power is unquestionable. Boom! Exclamation mark. Fire style fell all over the sky, causing a violent explosion in the valley. The earth shook. The deafening shock wave tore apart the ground, sweeping out dust hundreds of meters high. The scorching wind blows, evaporating a large amount of water. Countless plants withered and turned into dry branches and brittle firewood. Scary. Is this Ukai's strength? A group of elders who have been retired in the village can still explode with such power. If you put it on the battlefield, you can launch a fierce attack. Many spies widened their eyes in surprise and recorded this scene. The strength of the Ukai clan is much stronger than they imagined. Where's Wen? I can't find the perception ninjutsu, so I won't die. How is it possible? He swaggered and waited for Ukai to come up. He couldn't be waiting for death. Look, the people of Ukai are still on alert. Investigators from the same camp gathered together, exchanging opinions in low voices. They notice, after issuing such a terrifying fire-style cover attack, the Ukai clan did not relax, but everyone opened the Sharingan, looking for something vigilantly. They didn't seem to think that Guwen would die from the blow just now. As expected, in the next instant, a boulder roared out of the flames. Whoosh! Exclamation mark. A boulder the size of a door panel was thrown towards everyone in Ukai like a cannonball. Ordinary people may not react in time, but in 3 Tomoe's Sharingan, that speed isn't deadly. All Ukai dodge with the body flicker technique. Boom! Exclamation mark. Advertisement. The boulder slammed into the ground hard, creating a hole the size of a house, and the ground shook violently. Countless Ukai frowned, being affected by the loud noise to the ears. Also at this time, handfuls of gravel in the flames were shot out like bullets. Call out! Call out! Call out! And it's even faster than the boulder just now. A quarter of the Ukai tribe did not even dodge and were hit by gravel. Blood blossomed on these people. Aha! Broken bar. Hateful. So fast. What kind of technique is this? The wounded Ukai growled angrily. Since the valley was covered by a large area of AA flames just now, the high temperature scorched every place. Therefore, the gravel thrown out is also scorching hot. Ukai was hit, and the wound was scalded at the same time, and blisters were bubbling. Some people who were accidentally hit by gravel died howling in burning pain. Then, turn them all into mummies. Up the valley, all the investigators broke out in cold sweat and couldn't believe their eyes. Just now. What happened? Hey, did you see clearly? Not at all. I only saw the first boulder fly out. What kind of attack was launched later? I don't know. How did those Ukai people die? They don't have a Sharingan, their dynamic vision is just average, and they can't capture the details of the battle at all. Even the first boulder flew out, but they didn't see it clearly. Only seeing a gray shadow flashing below, Ukai's people suddenly dispersed. It was only after the boulder fell to the ground that it became clear that Guwen had thrown a boulder. Did Wen use Earth-style ninjutsu? This is new information. It's not like that. It doesn't smell like chakra. Advertisement. Indeed, Wen doesn't have a channel to learn Earth-style ninjutsu, and he's still water type. But someone disagreed, and he offered a guess. Is it possible that he got it from someone he killed before? As soon as this word came out, everyone was silent. Are you talking about him going through torture? Or eating? No one answered. The person who made the guess just now dared not speak, but everyone's expressions changed. Choke. In front of the valley, Fugaku suddenly drew his sword. At an astonishing speed that no one could react, a raging flame was pulled out from the blade, and it slashed towards the left front. Fire style a middle. Jian. Almost at the same time, a figure walked out of the valley. Its footsteps waded through the flames, and the ground shook. The burning blade pointed at the figure and fell rapidly. The figure paused slightly, turned sideways gently, and avoided the slash. But when turning sideways, the momentum of Fugaku's sword changed, and he kept up with the change. The blade changed from a diagonal slash to a horizontal slash, cutting sharply towards the waist of the figure. Well, a trace of confusion could not help appearing on Guwen's face. He raised his hand to grab the cut flames. In his eyes, the world is slow. Although Fugaku's sudden change of slash is fast, it is still slow, but faster than other things, which is the difference between a snail and a turtle. Guwen still responded calmly. He was a little more serious and used 70% of his speed. P.S. Fugaku's Mange-Kie ring ability was not clearly stated in the original work, so I made it up myself. Sorry for the poor compilation. Dragon Boat Festival reading big discount. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge. Activity time, June 22nd to June 24th. Chapter 27. Cautious Fugaku. Even a speed of 70% is unattainable speed for ordinary people. Everyone in Akaya who owns Sharingan only felt an afterimage flash past. But Fugaku, he kept up again. Call. Call. The flame on the blade suddenly rose. In an instant, it exploded into a lifelike fire dragon, and bit Guwen at close range. This fire dragon was shaped by a large number of high-temperature flames, almost condensed into a solid body. The moment it appeared, it emitted intense light and heat, illuminating the valley like daytime. Fugaku also added the burst feature to it. The moment Huolongpu bit Guwen, an explosion occurred. The highly concentrated flames are released in an instant. Boom! Exclamation mark. In an instant, the surroundings were bright. A small semicircular air mask was born, engulfing dust and air currents at an astonishing speed, blowing away dozens of meters of land like a plow. The deafening explosion made the surrounding mountains vibrate. The gravel crashed down, and the trees and flowers were destroyed by the shock wave. 10 seconds passed. Only then did the explosion subside. In situ, a pothole the size of a lake appeared out of thin air. In the cave, a scorched black human body stood. The heat of high temperature permeated the surroundings, and there were even traces of fire floating in the air. With the help of the lighting from the surrounding flames, it can be seen that the soil in the pothole area is scorched black, and all the green plants that were originally covered have been turned into ashes, presenting an abrupt darkness. Swish swish swish. Dozens of figures flickered. The Akai people who had just left returned one after another. Advertisement. They stared at the scorched land in shock, casting adoring glances at the patriarch Fugaku. This has reached the power of a level ninjutsu, right? What nonsense. The power of fire style is not divided into levels. The level is only the difference in learning difficulty. No, what he said is right. The move the patriarch just made is already comparable to ninjutsu. On the battlefield, this move is enough to suppress a large group head-on. In the establishment of ninja, there are squadron and brigade respectively. Generally speaking, only in times of onslaught and general attack will the commander lead the brigade to launch an attack. There are only a handful of ninjas who are qualified to lead a brigade or resist a brigade's attack in every hidden village. They are all stronger than J-Ringnen. It is a strong contender for the position of the shadow of each village. The snoopers around the valley were also taken aback. Fugaku's sudden move raised their opinion of the Akai chief to a higher level. This one hides really deep. Akai-style swordsmanship is combined with fire style, and the power of advanced fire style bursts out in an instant. This is equivalent to a kind of Muji ninjutsu. Konoha is really full of talents. This patriarch has also awakened Mange-Kie ring Sharingan, and Sanin dare not say that he is stronger than him. The scouts from all directions sighed. As for Guwen, they feel a little overwhelmed. You must know that Fugaku's technique just now is based on the technique of Jiani Uian, and a high-level fire style suddenly broke out. It is difficult to react to this sudden outbreak. In their eyes, Guwen obviously didn't hide. Moreover, the range of damage was so huge that a pothole the size of a lake was created. There was also a scorched black figure in the pothole. No matter who looked at it, they felt that Guwen was more than auspicious. Only a broken bar. Advertisement. They are not 100% sure, because in the field, the Fugaku patriarch still maintained a vigilant look, and the Mange-Kie ring Sharingan in his eyes hadn't been put away yet. Don't let your guard down. Fugaku's expression didn't change. His eyes were fixed on the scorched black figure in the hole. This guy is not so easy to deal with. He didn't think Guwen just died like this. Even with his well-designed, sudden burst of a powerful attack, he didn't feel that he had killed Guwen. This is a vague intuition. From the first moment he saw Guwen, Fugaku felt like a needle prick between his brows. He felt a strong threat. Fugaku hadn't met someone who could threaten him for a long time, so he trusts his instinct. Guwen is probably not dead yet. Why can't Sharingan see his chakra? Doubt flashed through Fugaku's mind. Just thinking about it, a clansman dubiously took out a handful of kunai, tied a detonating talisman and threw it out. Patriarch, are you too cautious? Whoosh! Kunai flew towards the scorched black figure in the hole, and the fuse of the detonating symbol burned. Look! He didn't even respond. The words are not finished. The scorched black figure suddenly stretched out his hand, intercepted the flying kunai, and threw it back with his backhand. Falcon! Exclamation mark. The reflected kunai was fast and urgent. There was even a low howling in the air. The clansman who threw out kunai, the three who in the Sharingan turned wildly, and his eyes were fixed on the flying kunai. Advertisement. Ad he saw. But only saw. The consciousness can react, but the body has no time to react. Hateful a broken bar. There was a look of fear in his eyes. In desperation, another kunai flew by and hit this kunai. Ding! The two collided with a crisp golden iron sound. A cluster of bright sparks splashed. The Akaya man froze, as if he didn't realize what was going on. There was a stabbing pain on the right side of his face. He touched it with his hand, only to see that his fingers were stained with blood, and at the same time there was a bang explosion sound from a distance behind him. This tribe only realized it later, and survived by himself. Be careful in the future. The patriarch helped you to miss the bitterness. Correct your attitude. Other Akai came up and patted him on the shoulder and reprimanded him in a low voice. Being killed by the enemy due to negligence is an extremely embarrassing thing for any ninja. Feel sorry a broken bar. The clansman bowed his head deeply, feeling a strong sense of shame in his heart. At the same time, on the sword in Fugaku's hand, flames burned again. He stared at the scorched black figure in the cave. A look of solemnity and horror flashed in his eyes. How can this guy's resilience be more exaggerated than the Senju clan? I saw Guwen twist his neck, the burnt black on his body peeled off like a shell, revealing the newly burned pink skin underneath. There was not a trace of scars on the whole body. Dragon Boat Festival reading big discount. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge. Activity time, June 22nd to June 24th. Chapter 28 Strange, why can you keep up with me? Fugaku was sure. He hit Guwen. The technique just now was aimed at Guwen's head and exploded. Fire style hit the front and it's okay, the guy's defense is also outrageous. Fugaku frowned, and stood with his left hand in front of him. Chakra flows rapidly through the meridians. Nature transformation. Morphological changes. The flames on the sword were soaring, blazing and intense, as thick as a snake coiling around the blade. Jing! Mange-kie ring in Fugaku's eyes suddenly lit up. He swung his knife suddenly, and the flame on the knife turned into a fire dragon that roared out, twisted and circled, and roared towards Guwen's place. No nonsense. Fugaku directly launched the attack. Well, facing the attacking Guwen, he tilted his head slightly. A trace of doubt appeared on his face again, a little surprised that Fugaku attacked him at this time. Why do I feel? He asked. In the first half of the sentence, Guwen was still in the scorched earth hole. You seem to know what I want to do. But in the second half of the sentence, the voice was close at hand, resounding in front of Fugaku. What? ? Fugaku's expression changed. Guwen, who was still in the cave 1 second, actually came in front of him the next second. So fast that even Mange-kie ring can't catch it. Boom! The chopped fire dragon hit the hole and exploded. In the background of a huge roar. Advertisement. Ad Guwen punched like a cannonball, and the air exploded, turning into a ring of white waves. Fugaku's eyes flashed, and he turned his head almost at the same time. Swish! ! The wind of the fist tore his cheek, hurting Fugaku just by passing. What a heavy fist! How could this speed be possible? Fugaku was shocked. But Guwen's attacks have not stopped. Boom! A messy boxing shadow suddenly exploded. In an instant, Guwen swung hundreds of punches, each punch hitting the air like a cannonball, rubbing heat with super high punching speed, and gathering it in one position for release. Bang bang bang! Imitation a middle. Morning peacock! An explosion that shook the whole field broke out between the two. It was as if a small sun had fallen on the ground, emitting blazing light and heat. A wave of flames spewed out and splashed in all directions, burning the entire valley with blazing flames. This time, even the spies outside of the battle had to dodge. They didn't see what happened at all. They saw a large area of AA flames rushing towards their faces, as violent as a mountain torrent erupting. Is it Okai Fugaku's technique? Using a large range of high-level fire style twice in a row, Wind puts a lot of pressure on the Fugaku patriarch. But such a close-range explosion, isn't Okai Fugaku worried that he will be injured? All the spies backed away, forced back by the flames all over the sky. They couldn't see the battle between the two inside. Field. Even fellow Akai clansmen had to evacuate several hundred meters away. A pair of 3 Tomoe Sharingan, showing a look of horror. Their eyesight is better than the average person's, so they can see a little bit what happened just now. Advertisement. Add this guy Kuta wind broke out with amazing speed, almost like a teleportation. He came to their patriarch and fought Fugaku in close combat. This flame was not made by Fugaku, but by Fumi Hisada. What are you kidding? Even the Sharingan can't see his speed. Is his body a monster? Without chakra, that guy actually used physical skills to shoot high-temperature flames? Every face was full of disbelief. But what made them even more unbelievable was that it was still in front of them. Among the flames, neither Guwen nor Fugaku stopped, and the two of them still did not stop. Fist and knife. Attack, dodge. You come and go, fighting unaffected in the flames. One is not afraid of the flames burning. A faint golden light shone on a person, isolating the flames. I'm very surprised. Why can you keep up? Guwen showed a curious look, and his fists fell like a storm. Every time it is swung, the air howls like a cannonball. The surrounding flames were wrapped by his fist wind and turned into a whirlwind of flames, attacking Fugaku together. You are obviously inferior to me in speed, strength, and reaction, but you can keep up with my movements? Is it your pupil technique? Guess. Fugaku dodged quickly, facing the fist that even Sharingan can't catch. He seems to see clearly. Roll over, sideways, jump. At critical moments, he was always able to dodge Guwen's fist with the slightest movement. At the same time, he turned around and chopped off with a knife. Boom. The counter-attack slash was bounced off by Guwen's fingers, and the temporarily strengthened finger ligaments and nerves exploded with a force of several thousand katis, which shattered the metal blade. Advertisement. Ad. But Fugaku let go of his hand at the first time, drew out kunai and stabbed Guwen's eyes. Guwen closed his eyelids and pulled out his right leg like a whip. A layer of pale golden streamer lighted up on Fugaku's body. The light faintly formed the shape of several ribs, blocking Guwen's whip leg. And at the same time, a large pale golden hand with a skeleton formed without warning from midair, and took heavy shots at Guwen. The blow was heavy. It was as if a boulder had been smashed into the water, and the heavy force actually squeezed the flames within 10 meters away, forming a vacuum completely occupied by high temperature. Boom! Exclamation mark. Press the big hand down 1 meter into the ground, making clear palm prints. The ground shook violently, but Guwen was not there. Call! Exclamation mark. Above, a gust of wind hits. Fugaku's face was expressionless, and his big skeleton hand suddenly bounced off the ground as if violating the inertia of exerting force, and ruthlessly yanked towards the falling figure in midair. The figure is naturally Guwen. Unmoved, he suddenly swelled his arm muscles, temporarily increasing his strength and hardness. The arm slammed down, and nearly 10 tons of force fell on the palm of the bone. Boom! Exclamation mark. The deafening crash ripped through the air. A huge wave of air exploded, churning like a huge wave, crushing all the surrounding flames. The shock wave was transmitted hundreds of meters away in an instant, and everyone in Akaya, who were shocked by the huge vibration in the flames, was thrown away one by one. Several clansmen who were already injured directly knelt on the ground covering their hearts. The others also looked uncomfortable, spitting blood from their mouths. Just the oscillating shock wave caused their internal organs to be damaged and their whole body to lose strength. Dragon Boat Festival reading big discount. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge. Activity time, June 22nd to June 24th, Chapter 29. I know your pupil technique. What happened inside? The movement of the battle is too scary. I feel like I'm standing on the battlefield of the general offensive. The people in Akai looked in horror. They wanted to see what happened, but suddenly their faces froze. The expressions on each face became unbelievable. Sizzle. Crushed, midair, a huge skeleton palm spread out, and Guwen's huge arm fell down in the palm. 10 tons of power concentrated in the small fist and exploded. The terrifying pressure directly shattered the palm of the bone, breaking it into dozens of pieces, and scattering golden light all over the ground. 2 streaks of blood from the corners of Fugaku's eyes. But he didn't care. He didn't even wipe it off, but created a pale gold skeleton palm in the sky again, and slapped Guwen hard. Guwen was sent flying like a cannonball and hit a small hill. Boom! Exclamation mark. The hills were shaken violently, and the top peak tens of meters high was flattened. The house was full of silence. After a brief silence, the Akai people let out a cheering cry. Oh oh oh! Patriarch Wansheng. This is Mange Ring's ultimate power, Akai's ultimate power. Sizzle. Invincible sizzle. The people of the tribe broke out into cheers of mountains and tsunamis. And farther away, the spies looked at each other in blank dismay, looking at the pale golden skeleton in the field in amazement. It has been a long time since the Akai clan has appeared in Mange Ring Sharingan. The last Mange Ring was already a generation ago. Advertisement. Ad. It was the first time for many of them to see Mange Ring's ultimate pupil technique. Sizzle. That huge palm like a towering tree. With just one blow, people were sent flying, collapsing a mountain. How powerful would it be if it were the full sizzle? Looks like the Fugaku clan leader won. Indeed, under such a blow, one may have turned into a puddle of blood. Defeated by the Mange Ring Sharingan, the text is not wronged. The spies all sighed. From the perspective of a normal person, there is no problem in thinking that Guwen is dead. They also felt that Guwen should be dead. But the next scene completely slapped them in the face. Field. Fugaku looked at the collapsed hill. His face sank like water. Not only did he not respond to the cheers of the clansmen behind him, but his face became more dignified. You all retreat. Retreat 300 meters, Fugaku said in a low voice. The clansmen were confused and didn't understand why the clan leader said that. Isn't Fumi Hisada still dead? How can? Someone was just about to laugh, but was suddenly taken aback and stared forward in a daze. A figure jumped down from the hill and hit the ground like a huge boulder, and then walked with heavy steps, like a giant beast, stomping on the ground. The figure of this person is very familiar. It was Guwen. His clothes were all burned, revealing his smooth skin, with no scars visible on it. The muscles are strong, tensed and relaxed when walking. It was full of a sense of hardness, as if it was a pile of stones. What is your pupil technique, Fugaku? Guwen walked over calmly, as if he had just been hit by a mountain, and it was just a trivial matter. Advertisement. Ad. He was unhurried and his tone casual. Slow down, time stop, speed AA up, think fast forward, overwrite reality. One guess after another spit out from his mouth. Under the incredible eyes of these lookas, Guwin walked slowly in front of them. Puff. He threw a stone at random and blew the head off a Akai next to Fugaku. Then, the person turned into a mommy. Why not save him? You should be able to save him. Fugaku was silent, with a drop of sweat on his forehead. The corner of Guwin's mouth curled into a smile. It seems that it's not that I don't want to, but that I can't, because you know that if you go to save me, I will throw other stones at the same time. The final result will only be that more people die, not just one person. Is it right? Fugaku's expression remained the same, but his face was tensed. Guwin looked at him thoughtfully, as if trying to read something from his face. He was scrutinized by Guwin's eyes. Fugaku's heart was pounding, and he felt a terrifying pressure, pressing down on him like a shackle. Unable to contain his fear, he began to create Suzu's body with his pupil power. A faint golden light glowed around Fugaku. The ribs are lined up, the spine grows, and the skull is shaped. A skeleton of a giant half-length appeared out of nowhere, guarding Fugaku inside. Suzu. I seem to have guessed it. Guwin looked at this Suzu and nodded. Just now I attacked from above. The speed should not be able to keep up with you. Your eyes didn't even look over. That is to say, even though I'm clearly out of your field of vision, you still see me. Your pupil technique is probably a kind of ability of foreseeing, Guwin said with a smile. Surprise flashed in Fugaku's eyes, and he let out a deep breath. Although there's no answer. Advertisement. But this reaction is enough to explain the answer. It seems that I guessed right, Guwin said with a smile. Behind Fugaku, a group of Akai looked worriedly at their patriarch. Stand back, Fugaku said in a low voice, narrowing his eyes slightly. Next second, the half-length giant on his body burned with golden flames in the eye holes. Mange Ring's pupil power surged out. Boom! Exclamation mark. A figure flickered towards Fugaku like lightning. It's Guwin's fist. Temporarily strengthened, the thick right arm bombarded in front of Fugaku like a rocket launcher, and the terrifying force penetrated Suzu, smashing all his ribs to pieces. The huge shockwave instantly knocked down the clansmen around Fugaku. One by one fell to the ground in pain, heartbroken. Bang bang bang! Exclamation mark. The next moment, Guwin's attacks were like dense raindrops, hitting one after another. Superior, down, left, right, forward, back. Fugaku's eyes were bloodshot, and he manipulated Suzu's arm, constantly predicting. Prediction. Always use his arms to block and counter-attack the moment before Guwin's attack falls. In his eyes, an illusory world played in my mind. Inside is a picture that is several seconds faster than real time. In those pictures, the location of Guwin's attack was accurately revealed. Dragon Boat Festival reading big discount. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge. Activity time, June 22nd to June 24th. Chapter 30. Jiankan on sword! But gradually, these pictures became disordered. Fugaku's breathing became heavier. Guwin's whole body muscles swelled, strengthening himself in all areas. The fist speed is faster and the strength is more ferocious. 10 tons, 11 tons, 12 tons, 15 tons. 20 tons. Doubled the strength of the fist, falling continuously. At this moment, like a meteor falling from the sky, countless boulders bombarded Suzu. Large expanses of air waves exploded, setting off a series of shock waves. There seemed to be hundreds of detonating symbols exploding in the field, and the continuous blasting sound slammed the eardrums of the ninjas present. Several Akai tribesmen who were close to the battlefield were directly pierced by the shock wave. Blood holes exploded in his body, and he was thrown away like a broken sack. Sure enough, I guessed right. There are large cracks on Suzu's body. Guwin's thick arm hit the same position continuously, releasing force from Suzu's back spine, breaking the spine directly, leaving only 1 meter away from Fugaku. Your pupil technique is foresight. Fugaku's face was covered with cold sweat, his lips were pale, and blood was gurgling from the corners of his eyes. In his head, one picture after another of the future, constantly appearing and covering. The future is changing in an instant. Now can you still see how I attack? Guwin raised his hand and fixed his eyes on Fugaku. With just one gesture of raising his hand, more than 30 different future pictures appeared in Fugaku's mind. Almost burned Fugaku's head off. Advertisement. My reaction is faster than yours. Whenever you change, I will change accordingly. You can see one change, but 10, 20, 30, even if you can see it, can you keep up? While Guwin was speaking, his palm was grasped like lightning. With this action, more than 50 pictures of the future appeared in Fugaku's mind. This means that in the next second, Guwin's attack has more than 50 changes. Fugaku closed his eyes in pain. He can't keep up, so just stop watching. Kai! Exclamation mark. Suzu's hand suddenly grew muscles and meridians, turning into a strong arm. At the same time, a bright golden light held Suzu's right hand. It was like the light of sunrise when the light pierced through the clouds and illuminated the boundless land. The moment you see it, the light is already falling on you. Swish! The moment Suzu held the golden light with her right hand, the light turned into a long sword, pierced through her body, and cut off Guwin's right hand with one blow. Severe pain spread in Guwin's hands. Guwin's expression didn't change, but he looked at Fugaku with interest. "What's the name of this sword?" "A Mizuno sword," Fugaku replied in a deep voice. Each pair of Mangekyou rings Suzu has a different form and comes with a different weapon, such as Shizui's spiral sword, Ichi's Ita mirror and Ten-Fist sword, Madara's curved blade, Kinami's sword energy, Sasuke's bow, Kakashi's shuriken, etc. Suzu of Fugaku naturally also has her own weapon. "Is it the legendary one?" Guin asked. His expression is casual, his posture is relaxed, and his tone is calm and breezy when he speaks. Advertisement. It seemed that instead of fighting, they were talking. "That's right, the symbol of a royal power, the legendary divine sword obtained from Yamada no Orochi," Fugaku said with a serious expression. "Every word." "It's a nice sword." Guin nodded in praise, shaking the severed arm of his right hand. Under Fugaku's horrified gaze, several twisting blood vessels and nerves grew out of the fracture, stretching like a living worm, tightly entwining the severed arm on the ground. Then, writhing blood vessels and nerves took over the incisions made in the severed arm. Connect, bridge, contract. The broken arm was pulled back by the blood vessels and reassembled on Guin's body. The cut marks at the fracture also healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. It's a hair-raising, uncomfortable scene. Deeply shook Fugaku's spirit. He pulled his face away, looking at Guin as if he was looking at a monster. "What the hell are you?" "Of course I'm human," Guin said earnestly. "It's just that the recovery is a little bit stronger." The broken arm looks serious, but the actual incision is not big. "It will be no problem to connect the arm." "How can there be no problem?" Fugaku shouted in bewilderment. His expression completely changed. Even Senju Hashirama, who awakened the amazing power of wood style, did not have such a pervert recovery. This is not the resilience that humans should have at all. "Fumiyakuta, is this guy human, monster?" Fugaku's heart trembled, and Mangekyou-ring's pupil power gushed out again. "Well, a broken bar, a broken bar." Guin spread his hands in regret. Next second, he tore through Suzu's spine, which had just closed and wanted to keep him inside, and went away with incredible speed. Advertisement. Ad rampaging along the way, countless smoke and dust splashed. "On the way, I bumped into a few Wakai tribesmen, without causing any hindrance, and they all burst into blood foam." "Don't run." Fugaku's eyes glowed brightly, and the scarlet light in his left eye was as bright as ultimate. In an instant, dozens of future pictures reappeared in his mind, but this time, with the extensive use of pupil power, these pictures were spontaneously screened to eliminate invalid predictions. Makes Fugaku show amazing reflexes. He caught up with Guin's lightning speed again. Swish swish swish! Exclamation mark. Suzu held the sword in both hands and slashed quickly. Countless gravels flew over. Dozens of ravines emerged on the ground, reaching a depth of 100 meters, spreading vertically and horizontally. Among them, some unlucky ghosts, Akai's clansmen and outside spies, just hit the trajectory of the slash, and were slashed into a cloud of blood mist. "Quick! Run away!" "Patriarch, don't kill me." "Win isn't dead yet. Why are they still fighting?" "Let's go. This battle is no longer the intensity we are qualified to watch." Countless people's faces changed drastically, and they fled into the distance in horror. In the valley, there was only a tall pale golden giant standing, like a legendary god, examining his own country, and giving any foreign things the eternity of death. Farther away, in the town a few kilometers away, the crowd was noisy. The commoners looked up and saw a beam of golden light shining from Yamanaka deep in the night, and there seemed to be a giant wielding a big sword, with a majestic aura. Dragon Boat Festival reading big discount. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge. Activity time, June 22nd to June 24th, Chapter 31 Opening the Mountain! It's a god. It's a god. Master Shinming is expelling evil obstacles and killing demons. The legend is true. Deep in the mountains, there really are gods. The ignorant civilians regarded it as a miracle and knelt on the ground one after another. The dark human heads fell down in pieces. All looked in awe at the distant Yamanaka's golden light. They are afraid, but they are also longing. Human beings are naturally governed by powerful forces. No matter what that force is, whether it is a storm, the sun, the moon, thunder and lightning, torrential rain, earthquakes, volcanoes, tsunamis. As long as the power is strong enough, you can get kneeling. Therefore, in ancient times, Suzu had the name of god called War God, meaning, this is an unrivaled force. It is above human beings, the power of gods. Not just civilians, many in the town, intelligence agents belonging to Konoha and Danbu, also looked in shock at the golden light of the great Yamanaka. Even if they knew the situation, they were shocked by this scene. Suzu, the ultimate power of the Mangekyou Sharingan. Power surpasses mountains and seas, shakes heaven and earth. But the description in words is not as powerful as seeing it with one's own eyes. Is this really the power that humans can have? Sharingan is indeed the #1 pupil technique in the ninja world. I feel that the power of the tailed beast is only at this level. In the valley, Suzu's slashing strike accidentally injured many of his own people. Advertisement. Ad But Fugaku didn't stop. He can't handle that much anymore. The left eye is almost used to its limit, and before this eye goes blind, he wants to kill the monster Gyutanwen. Amazon Cloud Slash. Fugaku's eyes widened violently, and Mangekyou-ring's pupil power was high. Thick muscles and meridians grew from Suzu's body, turning into a muscular giant. The giant stared at Guwen, who was rapidly shifting on the ground. A blush flashed in Fugaku's eyes. The pictures in my mind, under the action of a lot of pupil power, were screened from dozens of pictures to several pictures, and finally locked on one picture. That is the final trajectory of Guwen after multiple previews and dozens of calculations. Cut. The giant swung his sword suddenly, as fast as lightning. There is no shadow of the sword, only the light of the sword. The people present only felt their eyes sting, and saw a bright golden light passing through the air in a trance. Air, dust, earth. Like a curtain, it was cut open by the golden light. 100 meters away, a hill was split into two halves, and the cut exuded a high-temperature breath, smooth as a mirror. Boom! Exclamation mark. The violent shock came long overdue. Everyone looked shocked and stared blankly at this scene. The mountain. The mountain was split. It is said that Suzu's strength surpasses mountains and seas, but it is true. With this knife, the tailed beast will be hacked to death. Kaya Fugaku hides too deeply. He is the strongest person in Konoha, but Fugaku's expression remained serious. Advertisement. Suzu's body was shining brightly. Not only did she not relax her vigilance, but continued to strengthen her strength. A heavy armor emerged. The Utenku armor is worn on Suzu's body, making it closer to Suzu's form. That is the posture of the legendary Valkyrie. The more brilliant golden light shot straight into the sky, illuminating the night sky on this land. Within a kilometer, it seems that the stars are moving, and it comes to daylight for a short time. Those who watched the battle were puzzled. Why? What else does this patriarch want to do? No way. Is that Guwen still dead? Look. Someone pointed in a certain direction. All eyes looked at the underside of Suzu's sword, which was on a deep ravine under the split hill. Suzu maintained the slashing posture with the sword. With the dust dispersed, everyone clearly saw that the huge blade was firmly held against by a figure. The muscles of Guwen's body were knotted, and the black and blue blood vessels covered his skin like tree roots. He temporarily strengthened his whole body and turned into a little giant more than 2 meters high. Put your palms together, and tightly clamp the huge sword in front of you. How is it possible? He caught the sword? I'm under illusion. This is the power that can split mountains. Everyone who saw this scene felt awe-inspiring and felt extremely absurd. Like an ant that lifts up the foot that an elephant steps on. The size, strength, and speed of the two sides are extremely different, which can be called the difference between clouds and mud. But this ant did it. It even propped up the elephant's feet, making it impossible for the elephant's steps to land. This ant is Guwen. Advertisement. And the elephant, that's Suzu. As expected of Dankanyi sword, the hardest artifact in the legend, I can barely catch it. Guwen's faint voice came from under the blade. In Suzu's body, Fugaku's face was tense, and the veins on his forehead were bulging. Others don't know it, but he knows it himself. They are still wrestling. From the time Suzu slashed the sword just now, his pupil power disappeared like running water. Suzu never stopped pressing, and kept trying hard to break free from Guwen's hands and cut Guwen off. But no matter how hard Susan tried, he clearly entered the third form of armor. The blade remained motionless. Guwen's two palms felt like unshakable mountains to him. It was not two fleshy palms that held him down, but two mountains. Your eyes should be at their limit. Guwen clasped the sword that was 100 times larger than himself with both hands, just like a person resisting a tall building. His expression was light and calm, casual and indifferent. It doesn't seem to feel any pressure. If it was the other parts of Suzu, they would have been torn apart by the slapping of my strengthened hands, but this sword is just cracked. It's just that the sword was made and its power was demonstrated. You must have consumed a lot of pupil power. Guwen stared at Fugaku. A chill shot up from Fugaku's back and spread to his limbs. His scalp was numb, and he looked at Guwen in surprise. Why? Do you know so well about me, the Sharingan of the Uchiha clan? Fugaku asked with a trembling voice. He felt as if he was naked under Guwen's eyes. Everything inside is seen through. Dragon Boat Festival reading big discount. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge. Activity time, June 22nd to June 24th. Chapter 32 Mandate of Heaven King Power Come on, use the ability of your other eye. Guwen didn't answer, but instead said, you're trying to catch up with me, isn't it just because you want me to get in touch with this sword? Hearing this, Fugaku felt chills in his heart. It was completely seen through. As Guwen said, the pupil technique of his other eye needs to touch the enemy with the sword to take effect. Are you so confident? Fugaku asked with a serious face. Guwen nodded casually. In his eyes, in his brain, the reaction speed, information processing ability, logical analysis ability, thinking efficiency, etc., which are more than 4 times that of ordinary people, are like a perspective instrument, which can see through Fugaku's situation. This doesn't even require Guwen to expend energy. It's like an instinct. The longer the battle, the more thorough the understanding of the enemy's situation. At this time, Fugaku is no longer a threat in Guwen's heart. He can't fully express Fugaku's situation, but just like analyzing Fugaku's pupil technique before, he can feel that it is a kind of foresight ability. Also now, Guwen could vaguely sense that the pupil technique of Fugaku's other eye was a powerful attack. At the same time, there is a kind of oppressive force on this sword. These are Fugaku's last 2 cards. Come on, it's time to end. Guwen said to Fugaku. Fugaku took a deep breath, and all the power of his pupils poured out. He didn't hold back, as if he wanted to completely use up the eyes that many people dreamed of, and use the power without any scruples. Mandate of Heaven King power. In Fugaku's eyes, a dazzling scarlet light burst out. Advertisement. At around hundreds of meters away, because the movement of the battle was too violent, no one watching the battle dared to approach. They stare from afar, only to see Fugaku and Win seem to be talking. What are those two talking about? I can't hear you, it's too far away. It should be planning to negotiate. At this point, it is difficult for both sides to do anything to each other. Yeah, one has the lethality of a tailed beast, and the other can resist this kind of power without losing. If one of them wants to leave, it may be difficult to catch up and kill them. Konoe's rebellious ninja Win really shocked many people's glasses. Everyone sighed deeply. In the words, unconsciously bring honorifics. After all, with such terrifying power in front of them, who could not be in awe of the two in battle? People like us don't even have the qualifications to watch the battle at close range. Indeed, it is estimated that there are not many people in the ninja world who are qualified to participate in their battles. Fortunately Win defected, otherwise Konoe would really be someone left unsaid. But everyone understood what he meant and showed a happy expression. Fortunately, these two ridiculously strong guys were not on the same page, and one of them even defected. Otherwise, who is Konoe's opponent? Either one of these two will explode with all their strength on the battlefield, fearing that they will directly kill the ninja team on the opposite side. There is no way to fight at all. Wait, watch Akai Fugaku. Suddenly, someone exclaimed. Everyone's eyes locked on Fugaku in the arena, and they couldn't help but gasp. I saw the huge Suzu. The power increased instead of decreased, and the blazing golden light burst out, illuminating the night sky in the sky. Within a few kilometers, it was as bright as day. Advertisement. Countless animals in the mountains crawled to the ground in horror. The expressions of the people watching changed drastically. No, you still want to fight? Are they going to fight to the death? Let's go, let's go. The next battle may be more volatile. Our distance. The man couldn't finish his words. Boom. A layer of invisible force fell, like a sky, as if the sky was falling. The awe-inspiring boundless, omnipotent mandate of Heaven King power. Accompanied by Fugaku's words, a Mizuno burst out with a mighty power. Boom boom boom! Exclamation mark. The mountains collapsed and turned into dust. Countless beasts, plants, and ninjas were crushed and smashed into blood mist. Tenkan-Yan sword is a symbol of royal power. The power that resides in this weapon is like the supreme authority of a king, not allowing anything to compete with him. He wants the world to submit to his sword. Its majestic power crushes everything into powder. With a radius of several kilometers, a circular plane appeared. In this plane, only one giant exuding golden light stood standing, and all of the standing things turned into flat ground. This astonishing power silenced the distant town. In such a huge city, there was no sound at all. Everyone felt a strong sense of suffocation. In their eyes, the rolling mountains, standing for hundreds of thousands of years, is a scene that will never change. But just now, advertisement. In an instant, it was wiped out. The thick and tall mountains collapsed into countless dust. The radiating range of this power even spread to 100 meters away from the town. Many people saw that in the forest outside the city, the tough trees seemed to be wiped away, scattered into dust and scattered in the sky and the earth. Incomprehensible, unimaginable. People's will was severely shaken. How can it be broken bar? Humans how unexpectedly can possess such terrifying power? Is this the real God? Those who can still speak are ninjas who know something. But none of them turned pale, their foreheads were covered with cold sweat, and their voices were full of fear. Such a terrifying power really makes people despair. Ordinary ninjas can't even imagine how they can resist. No one knows. This vastness is boundless, like the power of the gods descending. Guwen is still alive. His lower body turned into rotten flesh, his upper body was swollen and strong, his muscles were as tense as an iron body, and his skin was a tough black blue. His hands were still holding Jiankan-Yan sword tightly. It turned out to be to lock my speed. In this situation, Guwen's face remained calm, and he looked at the terrified Fugaku indifferently. Is it to give you the pupil technique of the other eye, to create an opportunity to perform it? Bring it on. Dragon Boat Festival reading big discount. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge. Activity time, June 22nd to June 24th, Chapter 33. The arrogant person is you, Fugaku. Fugaku's face paled, and he sighed softly. The mange ring in the right eye glows brightly like a ruby. Heavenly rock slash. The voice fell. The huge Tenkan-Yan sword converged into a sharp beam of light. Holding the light in both hands, Suzu gently slashed towards Guwen in the standard Kaseya chopping posture. This knife was extremely fast, flashing across the night sky like a shooting star. Look from a distance. It was as if a laser beam pierced through the sky, cutting all the clouds in the sky. Kai! Exclamation mark. On the ground, a cloud of smoke rushed away. The light beam fell, cutting out a huge rift, and countless dust separated and melted, flying up, forming a violent dust. Guwen raised his hands and strengthened his bones. Layers of periosteum grow under the skin like the blood succession boundary of the Yoruichi tribe. At the same time, the muscles are deeply tightened, as if twisted with steel wires. According to his estimation, the defensive power of these hands can withstand a Might Guy's burst towards the peacock head-on, and even the future move of a date tiger burst. This is Gu Win's development and improvement of his own strength after that battle. But the beam falls. Kai gently cut off his arm, as easy as cutting a piece of white paper. The light beam cut down from his left shoulder at a 45-degree angle, passed through the heart, left lung, stomach, liver, and intestines, and exited from the right side of the pelvis. During this period, Gu Win tried to change his position, but the great pressure of the royal power suppressed him like a mountain. The only slight change was also captured by Fugaku's preview, adjusting the angle of the falling sword to catch up. Gu Win's body was cut in half. The blade slashed to the ground, and the shock wave aroused threw him high into the air. This power. Advertisement. Ad midair. Gu Win looked surprised, looking down at his severed body parts. In those positions, there is a strange force remaining, a sharp cutting force. The light beam in Suzu's hand is no longer a sword, it is only cast with a sword. The real power is the attached pupil technique. This pupil technique is pure cutting power. Anything that touches will split off from the contact surface. Whether it's air, steel, mountains or water, any shape and texture will be split and cut under the action of this force. And it cannot be recovered until the power dissipates. Gu Wen tried to strengthen his resilience, and blood grew from the wound. It's just that every time it grows, it will be cut off by the remaining power. You are too confident, even to the point of arrogance. Fugaku's eyes were bleeding, and both eyes were dull, as if he was about to go blind. He fixed Gu Wen in midair with his last gaze. That's why you lost. Putting his fingers together, Fugaku stood in front of him and made a ninja seal. Shaka mixed his pupil power and instantly cast a spell. Gakudama of Yasaka! Suzu wiped it from the shoulder, and threw out a golden rainbow, which was shaped like the connection of three hooked jade. Fumikuta, go to hell! Boom! Jin Hong collided with Gu Wen, releasing a violent explosion. In midair, a huge firework exploded. The air turned into a turbulent flow, neighing rapidly, sweeping towards the distance. It is finally over. A broken bar. Fugaku closed his eyes, and in his perception, Fumi lost all life breath. The final pupil power is used on the pupil technique of the left eye. The picture of the future will no longer change. Advertisement. There was only one scene left. The two halves of Kuta Win's body fell to the ground shriveled, completely dead. Who? Fugaku lifted Suzu and sat on the ground panting. The golden giant withdrew its light and slowly dissipated. Night returns. There was dead silence and darkness around him, and all the clansmen who followed him were dead. He himself was about to go blind. Mange Kie Ring's pupil power, which had hardly been exercised, was used to an overload tonight. The meridians in the eyes are torn. However, such a price is worth it. I can kill this monster. Panting, Fugaku raised his head to see where Gu Win's body had landed. His gaze shrank suddenly, and his face changed wildly. You? He only had time to utter a word. Click. A big hand was like steel, firmly grasped his head, and squeezed it. Puff. Fugaku's entire head exploded like a smashed watermelon. The owner of the big hand is Gu Wen. His whole body was scorched black, his body was shriveled, his flesh and blood seemed to be burned dry, and he lost his vitality, even his breath. But he is still alive. After pinching Fugaku's head, the scorched black on Gu Wen's body peeled off one after another, as if shedding skin. The shriveled body plumped up like a balloon. Breathing resumes. Skin and flesh grow. The fresh breath of life returned to him. It was as if a hibernating bear had awakened from a long silence to spring to life again. I have already guessed your tricks. How can you not guard against it? Gu Wen let go of his hand, revealing the incision on his chest. Advertisement. I saw that there was actually a second heart in the chest cavity, beating vigorously on the right side. On the left side, the severed heart is just a shell. There are no arterial blood vessels connected, and no nerve connections. Suck a broken bar. Gu Wen took a deep breath. In a radius of several kilometers, a large amount of heat gathered like a cloud, gurgling down towards him. Fugaku, people from Akaya, people who came to spy on information, and animals killed in the battle. All the corpses were squeezed clean, and the flesh and soul turned into pure heat and flowed into Gu Wen's body. At the incision, the power of Fugaku Hidame Jutsu was instantly expelled. Surging vitality emerges. 4.6, 4.83, 4.97, 5. Almost instantly, the life intensity reached the critical point of the second transformation, and this huge heat flow consumes less than 1/10 of it. Large pieces accumulated in Gu Wen's body. I have already demonstrated the ability to change my shape in battle, and you don't even care about it. Gu Wen looked at Fugaku indifferently. To be precise, Fugaku turned into a mummy, adjusting the position of the heart, building a second heart, inhibiting metabolism, suspending death, sealing blood vessels, etc. All belong to the change of body shape, that is, the category of body structure adjustment. The one who is really confident and arrogant is you, Fugaku. Deep in your heart, you are actually also shackled by the concept of Sharingan's invincibility. You feel that as long as the power of Mange Kie Ring is used, there is absolutely no enemy that can resist it. Gu Wen shook his head. Blood vessels, nerves, and strips of flesh grew from the incision on his half-body. This time, There was no interference from pupil power. The flesh and blood were no longer cut and ejected smoothly, and his lower body was retrieved and reassembled. Dragon Boat Festival reading big discount. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge. Activity time, June 22nd to June 24th. Chapter 34 The Second Transformation A few seconds. Guwin recovered from his fragmented form. His eyes were calm and his face was indifferent, as if going through such a big battle didn't consume much. The demeanor of the whole person is still as casual as the clouds in the wind. The location of the second metamorphosis should be chosen here. Guwin glanced around. With 5 times the senses and brain of ordinary people, it instantly captures and analyzes the surrounding environment, selects structures one by one, and brings them to mind. He immediately locked a place. River. The valley was shattered, but Fugaku's power did not damage the structure of the river. Moreover, he also detected once before the battle. Below this river, it is connected to an underground dark river. As long as you find the right location and go down from the connection, you can go deep into the underground river that is 1,000 meters deep underground. Guwin chose to complete his second transformation in the dark river. This can be regarded as a deception of thinking in the dark under the lights. Generally speaking, I, who have experienced a big battle, should leave early and find a secret place to recuperate instead of staying at the scene. But I did the opposite, and stayed at a distance instead. Guwin muttered to himself and found the original location of the river. It is no longer visible. A large amount of gravel and dust blocked the entire river, but the riverbed below was not damaged. Guwin stepped on it, and the monster-like weight immediately pulled him down. He sank completely into the mud of the riverbed, through the silt, straight into the underground river. And at the moment of entering, adjust your body, close your eyes and enter a state of suspended animation. No need to breathe. No need to eat. The heat flow accumulated in the body is the best supplement. Advertisement. Even if you die on vacation and cause necrosis of body organs, you can regenerate them with the help of heat flow. Let's start. Guwin, who sank into the dark river, let go of the suppression of the heat flow in his body. Wow, wow. The sound of splashes came faintly. The cold underground river water around him carried him deeper into the ground. Occasionally, when encountering a bend, the water collides and gradually dissipates. But if you listen carefully, you can distinguish 2 different beeping sounds. One belongs to the dark river, and the other, in the dark. Guwin seemed to see a boundless sea, with the sound of the tide slowly. His consciousness sank into it, soaked by the warm sea water, as peaceful as when he returned to his mother's womb. The sea of a life, apostrophe. 1 second before falling asleep, Guwin suddenly flashed such years. On the ground, where Guwin drilled, the mud slowly recovered. It was quickly back to normal. No one would have thought that someone had once crossed a riverbed and entered the dark and closed underground river. There's no oxygen in there, no care. Humans simply cannot survive in it. After an hour, the ninjas from Konoha came to the edge of the battlefield cautiously. Their eyes were full of horror. A wide plain, with horizontal walls in front of their eyes. Advertisement. The ground is extremely flat and smooth, as if carefully polished by craftsmen. Just over an hour ago, here are still rolling mountains, covered by forests, high mountains and flowing water, among which there are waterfalls and rivers, and many animals live there. But now, it's all gone. Only a bare plain remained, abruptly left here. Is this the power of the rumored Mangekyou Ring Sharingan? I seem to be able to imagine the demeanor of the 2 adults who created Konoha, as expected of Suzu, known as the god of war. The group of ninjas sighed sincerely. Although they were talking, the movements of their hands did not fall. Inuzuka, Aburame, Hyuga and other ninjas in the team used their own methods to investigate the situation in the battlefield. Although the movement of the battle has subsided, no one can guarantee the situation inside. It's a good thing that the Fugaku Patriarch won. Everyone is his own. He will never attack his own people. But what if the winner is Fumi Hisada? This guy is an unscrupulous lunatic who has no scruples about killing people. Squeezing them to death is as simple as crushing an ant. The risk of rushing in is too great. The burning smell inside is too strong, and the dog can't smell other smells. My bugs circled around and found no living creatures. Not just humans, not even animals or insects. White Eyes saw no living beings, and no chakra. A few minutes later, several people in charge of the investigation reported their investigation results. The rest of the people heard the words. Their expressions were a little relaxed, but also a little dignified. This is both good news and bad news. The good news is that there is no danger here for the time being, and they can go in with confidence. The bad news is that the Uchiha clan may all be dead. Advertisement. Priority is to find the people of the Uchiha clan, especially the Patriarch Uchiha Fugaku, and confirm his condition. The order of the Lord Third Generation is to rescue Fugaku as much as possible. People of Hyuga stay alert. The rest, slowly survey the scene from 4 directions and restore the battle process. One person in the team came out and said in a deep voice. The rest should be one after another. Yes, Captain. Action. The man who came out waved his hand. Everyone in the team dispersed immediately and performed their tasks separately. Half an hour later, they returned one after another, reporting information. The corpses of the Uchiha clan were found, including that of the clan leader Uchiha Fugaku, all turned into mummified corpses. Within 3 kilometers, A large number of animal mummies were found. No Kata-win was found. Listening to the report, the captain frowned deeply. Is Akai Fugaku actually dead? Although in the first round of investigation, when no breath of life was found, it was already expected. But when he really confirmed this matter, it still made him feel depressed. He was in town and witnessed Suzu's incredible power. Cleave the earth and let the mountains collapse. The terrain has changed for it, as if the mighty power of a god. A man with such a powerful force was killed and swallowed into a mummy. Just how strong is that bastard Katafumi? Such a guy. Can Konoha really hunt him down? Contain the corpses and draw a map, the captain said with deep thoughts. Let's report the news to the village and let Lord Third Generation decide on the follow-up mission. Yes. Dragon Boat Festival reading big discount. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge. Activity time, June 22nd to June 24th. Kumo audiobook. Here Danzo will always be Danzo. Chapter 35 Danzo, let's use Jinchuriki, late at night. The report was rushed back to Konoha. Neither Third Hokage nor the group of elders slept. The four of them sat in the office and took turns reading the information sent back. Earthquakes, soaring flames, rapid heat, giants, great swords, golden light illuminating the valley, the split earth, the disappearing mountains. Seeing the content recorded in the intelligence, they were terrified. The expressions of the four of them were so dignified that they seemed to be covered with a layer of haze. Fugaku actually died. Third Hokage muttered to himself in a daze, as if he still couldn't accept this fact. Evidently awakened the rumored Mangekyou ring Sharingan, and Kasuzu, who is known as the power of the god of war, but still died. How is it possible? How could Kata-win be so strong? He was full of self-doubt. How long has it been since Kata-win defected? Only 2 months. In 2 months, from a genin with mediocre qualifications, he became a strong man who can kill Fugaku with Mangekyou ring Sharingan. This is unreasonable. How could there be such an outrageous blood succession limit? In a few months, if Hisada Fumura becomes stronger, will he reach the height of first generation and Madara? Third Hokage felt awe-inspiring, and didn't dare to think about it any further. We investigated Hisada-win's family situation and interpersonal relationship. His parents died very early, and all his relatives also died. Udatane Koharu spoke from the side, with an unusually ugly face. Bumikuta himself is also withdrawn, and he had no friends at the ninja school stage. Advertisement. Ad. In other words, this guy has always been alone and has not established a bond with anyone. In other words, Kata-win has nothing to worry about. Such a person is the most dangerous. He has no ties or scruples, and when encountering things that don't meet his wishes, he is more likely to create chaos than a person with a family. Such people are destabilizing factors in the village. I think we should be clear. Maito also opened his mouth, with a serious face. Fumi Hisada is not just a rebellious ninja. We can't treat this guy with the same attitude we used to treat rebellious nin. Instead, think of him as a menacing figure like Hans A. Ring of the Salamander. It's not that I'm worrying unfoundedly. Let when Jaiushin grow up, we, Konoha, may really be in danger of being overthrown. These words touched the hearts of those present. Third Hokage, Danzo, and Koharu nodded solemnly. The last war launched by Hans A. Ring of the Salamander almost broke the ninja world structure, swallowed a large amount of land from the country of fire, and became the 6th largest country after the 5 major countries. Konoha almost fell from the position of the #1 hidden village in the ninja world. Looking back now, I still feel sorry for him. However, there is no need to worry too much. Danzo, who had been silent all this time, finally spoke. With a calm expression and a calm tone, he said, the battle between Fugaku and Fumiya Hisada, although it has the same destructive power as the tailed beast, we are not the ones who did not restrain the tailed beast. Don't talk about Hiruzen's 3 disciples, just say when I was young. Danzo looked at several friends with a smile, and said relaxedly, Tsunagakura's Shizuru, Garigakura's Izuki, I have dealt with them. Miss Shinobi will be pacified in another month, and Jiraiya and Orochimaru will be back. It will not be too difficult to solve a Kata-win at that time. Heard the words. Both Udatane Koharu and Maitamen breathed a sigh of relief, with a little smile on their faces. They continued their discussion, then broke up the meeting and left. After all, the night is late. Advertisement. As soon as they are old, they can't stay up late compared to when they were young. It's just that they didn't know that after Danzo left, he quietly returned alone. He pushed open the office door and looked at Third Hokage inside. Third Hokage looked out the window, with his back turned to him, as if anticipating Danzo's return. Well, a broken bar. Danzo sighed and walked over to Third Hokage, looking out the window with old friends. I didn't expect Koharu and Maito to believe what you said just now. Third Hokage couldn't help sighing. Not necessarily. Maybe I just believed it 60% to 70%. Danzo shook his head and said, but in order to calm people's hearts, they must show a confident side, otherwise the people below will panic. 67 achievements are ridiculous enough. Third Hokage smiled wryly. After all, their strength is much worse than ours. Helplessness flashed across Danzo's face. What restrains the tailed beast and deals with the tailed beast? It's a joke. As long as ninjas who have participated in the top battles know that the statement is full of loopholes. It's like an elephant and an ant. He, Danzo and Orochimaru are grasshoppers that are stronger than ants. With its excellent jumping ability and maneuverability, the grasshopper avoids the elephant's attack, and finally exhausts the elephant's physical strength. This is the so-called pinning. But can Fugaku and Fumi Hisata be the same? They really possess the destructive power of tailed beasts. Just like a grasshopper, it has amazing maneuverability and the strength of an elephant. This kind of person is a humanoid tailed beast. Their destructive power is completely beyond people's imagination. Quantities are meaningless in front of these people. Advertisement. Ad Hiruzen, use Jinchuriki. Danzo proposed seriously. In this war, Konoha did not use Jinchuriki even in the most desperate situation. But now the war is victorious. But because of a traitor could to win, and plan to use the ultimate weapon Jinchuriki. Well, I have the same idea. Third Hokage nodded, looking at the street outside the window. His eyes became deep. If you can't even kill Jinchuriki, then I will go to the battlefield again. Hiruzen. Danzo was silent for a long time and closed his eyes. You will die. It is an honor for Hokage to die on the battlefield. Third Hokage showed an open-minded smile. Danzo didn't speak anymore. He knew that his old friend had made up his mind. This is the consciousness of being a shadow. The night passed. After dawn, one after another, more people came from all over to the battlefield last night. They come from all sides. There were those from various countries, some from hidden villages, some from underground exchanges, and some noble warriors. All of them gathered together to admire this miraculous battlefield. Yes, look up. Everyone who came to the scene was shocked by the vast plain of several kilometers. This is simply the power of the legendary gods to move mountains and fill seas. Dragon Boat Festival reading big discount. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge. Activity time, June 22nd to June 24th. Chapter 36 Notoriety. An area with rolling mountains was razed to the ground because of the battle between two people. Everything above the horizon, be it rocks, plants, animals or whatever, was crushed and collapsed into dust. Words can't express the shock. Fumi Hisata and Ukai Fugaku are both monsters. Fortunately, there is hatred between these two monsters. Otherwise, if Konoha reappears as the twin gods of first generation, our life will be difficult. Indeed, with such terrifying power, it feels like those two people can beat the tailed beast. They talked in amazement. The people present obviously belonged to different camps, but at this moment they were unusually harmonious. There is no dispute. Everyone is negotiating in a friendly manner, recording information without disturbing each other. In front of this thrilling battlefield, past disputes and hostility seem so powerless. Arguing becomes pointless. No matter how loud your clamor is, how valuable your status is, and how outstanding your strength is, falling on this battlefield, it was just one of thousands of ants that were crushed. After seeing a wider power, the original small world makes people feel boring and ordinary. By the way, who won this battle? Most likely Fugaku lost, otherwise Konoha would have announced their victory. I agree. Someone saw Anbu restraining the mummy last night. The mummy was obviously written by Wen. Everyone was recording and chatting at the same time. Advertisement. Konoha's people didn't stop them either. Last night's earth-shattering, thunderous battle sounds could be clearly heard in the surrounding villages and towns. Moreover, such a huge plain stands here, and it cannot be concealed. There is no need to waste effort on things that cannot be concealed. Anbu had collected first-hand information last night, and restrained the scene. Other forces can at most get some leftovers. Land of Thunder, Cloud Shinaba Village. The two brothers of the Ab group looked at each other, looking at the information sent back. Their faces were confused. Not long ago, Third Raikage dragged tens of thousands of Rock Shinaba ninjas by himself, fighting for 3 days and 3 nights to death. Among them was the Jinchuriki. But that battlefield is not as exaggerated as the description in this intelligence. Are they writing fairy tales? 8 Tails Jinchuriki, Killer Bee with an expression on his face that seemed to be teasing me. His elder brother, 4th Raikage, read the information over and over again. A solemn look flashed in his eyes. The real strength of Jayutanwen is probably far beyond our imagination. 4th Raikage-chan said. Brother? Killer Bee gave a puzzled expression. Ask 8 Tails to see if he can do this. I looked at Killer Bee. Oh, a broken bar. Advertisement. Ad. Although he felt that his brother was too cautious, Killer Bee still closed his eyes obediently, sank into his body, and communicated with 8 Tails Jayaki in the seal of his body. After a few seconds, Killer Bee opened his eyes, nodded and replied. 8 Tails said that his tailed beast bomb could also blow up a mountain range to the ground. And it has a wider range, but the accuracy is out of control. That's it, I said sadly. According to the eyewitness accounts last night, the collapse of that valley happened in an instant, and it is most likely Ukai Fugaku's technique. Fumikuta endured that terrifying technique head-on, not only survived, but also killed Ukai Fugaku. Even our father can't do this. Killer Bee's expression became serious. He realized the horror of Kuta when humans are fragile. Even if a ninja has chakra, he is still a fragile human at heart. But Fumi Hisata is different. While possessing the mobility of a ninja itself, he also possesses amazing defensive power. No wonder Namikaze Minato left in a hurry. Killer Bananan said. He and I tried to invade the Fire Nation not long ago, but were intercepted by Namikaze Minato alone, and the war failed to start. After defeating them, Namikaze Minato left without signing the truce. It was puzzling, but now I understand that it was because of Kutawan. Father once fought with 8 tails for 3 days and 3 nights. With the strongest spear and the strongest shield, invincible attack and defense, he only dared to miss the attack of 8 tails. I looked worried and sighed deeply. But Fumikuta, oh. The same sigh also happened to Sand Shinobi, Rhine Shinobi and Rock Shinobi. Advertisement. Even though he has the same eyes as Akai Madara. Did Fugaku lose? Tsuchikai Jonogi put down the information with a look of deep surprise on his face. He is not young, and he has witnessed the invincible process of Akai Madara and Senju Hashirama teaming up to sweep the country of fire and capture the tailed beast. He is aware of the terrifying power of the Mangekyou Ring Sharingan. And Fugaku was also eaten by Kutawan. The next time that guy appears, will he reach the height of the ninja god? Tsunagakure. This guy, fortunately his goal is to go to sea, not Tsunagakure. 4th Kazekajal Wosha smiled dryly after reading the information. At this time, I am delighted by the barren environment of the Land of Winds. Rhine Shinobi Village. Hans A. Ring of the Salamander sits in his office. This man who once initiated the Second Ninja War and has the name of a demigod. After reading the information, he fell into a long silence. For a long time, he took out a secret scroll from the drawer, opened it, and slowly approved with a pen. Let's put aside the cooperation with the Sky Danzo. Akatsuki in the Land of Rain is just a disease of scabies. Bunsai Hisada is a big problem. If Konoha doesn't solve this serious problem, he won't have the energy to carry out external operations. I don't want to intervene rashly and attract Wintian's attention. Dragon Boat Festival reading big discount. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge. Activity time, June 22nd to June 24th, Chapter 37 promotion. Second sound. Thanks for reminding. The outside world is turbulent. Everyone is looking for the whereabouts of Jia Yutanwen, but no one was found. 1 day. 2 days. 3 days. 4 days. 7 days have passed. After that amazing night of fighting, Hisada Wind disappeared out of thin air. There was no trace of him, no trace, not even a shadow. Where did he go? The Mist Shinobi battlefield has come to an end. Konoha has taken a lot of people to search. It's almost plowing 3 feet. It's time to find someone, you said. Is he dead? Discuss the form. But they generally accepted the statement that Fumi Hisada was still alive, because Fugaku turned into a mummy. All the creatures on that battlefield, one counts as one, all turned into mummies. If Jia Yutanwen died on the spot, it would be impossible to continue to use his ability to swallow so many corpses. So there is a high probability that he left alive. It's just that I don't know where to hide and recuperate. Is it possible that he's gone? I mean out to sea. Impossible. The distance is too far. It will take half a month. Maybe he will change his mind, and maybe he plans to fight back against Konoha. Don't forget the end of the Ninja Cat clan. Hear this speculation. Many people showed malicious smiles. If Katafumi changes his mind and doesn't go out to sea, he returns to Konoha for revenge. For other hidden villages, it is the best thing. Dreaming will wake up with a smile. Advertisement. Ad. Konoha's high-level officials naturally also considered this issue, and a large number of people were withdrawn from the battlefields of Cloud Shinobi and Mist Shinobi, just in case of revenge by Hisada Fumi. They have to defend. Hisada Wind disappeared last time, and Shizui searched for half a month but couldn't find anyone. When he appeared again, his strength improved by leaps and bounds, killing Shizui and Kakashi directly. How familiar is the situation this time? The insiders of Konoha are worried, especially the Akai clan. They can be said to have no leader. The elders and patriarchs all died under the hands of Hisada Wen, and the number dropped by 1/3. And 1/3 is still the backbone of the clan. Akai fell directly from a wealthy family to an ordinary wealthy family. When Akai Madara left Konoha, they had never suffered such a heavy loss. No one knows. Guin didn't go anywhere, and stayed where he was fighting Fugaku. He did not eat or drink, and suspended animation for 7 days in the underground river. Even though the underground river water was icy cold, he felt that he was soaked in a piece of warm seawater. High temperature, humidity, viscous, old and primitive, simple and crude. Countless fragmented and unsystematic memories are released from the genes. It was an incomparably long past, the first generation of life bred in the primordial soup, the strange environment full of chaos and destruction, but also full of creation, deeply engraved into the memory of life. This memory is earlier than emotion, earlier than wisdom, earlier than language. It cannot be expressed in any way, just a feeling, a strange feeling that cannot be described. It seems that the whole world has become a huge placenta, and countless lives are the children of the world, conceived in the warm amniotic fluid. When life comes to the end of evolution and releases all potential, they are about to go back to their original origin and ask the mother of the world for the power of creation that created them. This time, they're not just about to evolve, but to sublimate. Advertisement. Add to realize the leap of life. Only the primitive and ancient past, in that strange environment of chaos, disorder, destruction and creation. In order to make life leap forward, Guin is now back in that ancient sea. The soup of life, the primordial sea, the fetal membranes of heaven and earth, the mother river, chaos, all kinds of titles or pointing to that strange environment. Who I am, apostrophe. Gu Wen's consciousness seemed to break free from the invisible shackles under the rush of a large amount of heat. He came to an unknown place. It's dark, empty, but not alone. There are many companions, and everyone's spirit is connected to each other, without deception and isolation. We all open our hearts and inhabit this void together. The name, which distinguishes you from me, loses its meaning and is no longer needed, because everyone's consciousness is indistinguishable from each other. Who I am, apostrophe. And who are you, apostrophe. Gu Wen's consciousness was floating in it. He has made many friends who open their hearts and tell each other their hearts. He was very happy. It seems that I have forgotten my troubles and worries, and I don't have to think about anything. But slowly, he remembered his name again. My name is Gu Wen, apostrophe. He didn't find it fun here. These friends were stupid. Can't communicate, can't talk, can't think. Just blobs of feeble mental will. Even if Gu Wen is connected with them, he is just talking to himself. After realizing this, Gu Wen became bored. Advertisement. At his consciousness gradually became clear. This is where, apostrophe. What am I doing, apostrophe. Metamorphosis. What is metamorphosis, apostrophe. Gu Wen was lost in thought. Strange but familiar memories emerged from the bottom of his heart, helping him to re-understand the world, himself, and his own state. Oh, I remembered. After swallowing a pair of Mangekyou ring from Fugaku, I started my second metamorphosis. Now in the process of transformation. Then. Who are you? Gu Wen looked back at his friends in doubt. There was nothingness behind. Nothing at all. He was startled suddenly, as if he understood something. There was a crisp sound in his mind. They are me, and I am them. We are one. Instantly, there is a bright light in front of my eyes, and the darkness of nothingness is illuminated. He was floating in a warm light, and his spirit broke free from his form, spreading seemingly endlessly. Where do friends exist? He has always existed alone. Gu Wen's spirit cleans itself and observes itself. His heart, lungs, intestines, liver, islets of pancreas, etc. His viscera emit a series of mental waves, which are continuously carrying out life activities. These are his friends. Gu Wen saw the self from another angle, from the level of consciousness. This is the spirit, it is seeing God, it is completeness, it is the source of perfection, it is the 8 testaments of salvation, it is the ether, it is the small universe, it is the nature of everything. Dragon Boat Festival reading big discount. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge. Activity time, June 22nd to June 24th. Chapter 38 Shock. So, what's my situation now? Gu Wen opened his eyes cautiously. It was dark. Underground rivers flowed, and the sound of rushing water rang in my ears. The metamorphosis is over. But he could still feel the warm ocean. He even suspected that he was still soaking in the water of life. Life strength 7.21. The next metamorphosis is 15. Gu Wen pondered for a moment, focusing on himself. As he concentrated, one after another inexplicable information came to mind, which did not belong to any language or text, but an instinctive feedback. He instinctively picked up on the changes in his body. This transformation is a promotion. The spirit born from the body, the will formed from the convergence of the spirit, and then in turn merged into the body. Ascent from the earth to the sky, and descent from the sky again, gaining the power above and below. So that one may gain the glory of the world and be free from darkness and ignorance. The spirit is fulfilled in it. The first metamorphosis is the release and completion of the potential of evolution, and the fulfillment of the physical body. The complement of the two is the sublimation of life. At the bottom is the same as the top, and the top is the same as the bottom. In this way, the miracle of the one is fulfilled. This is the secret of promotion. A miracle can be achieved in this way, but the distance from the real miracle still needs to reach the threshold of 15 to complete the third transformation. At that time, an angel came to welcome him. This is the mighty force that connects up and down and creates the world. Advertisement. I subconsciously interpret the information in my mind with the words of Western scriptures. This shows that my evolution is inclined in this direction. My own deep thinking is also inclined to this aspect. Gu Wen thought to himself. The transformation was actually influenced by his own thoughts. It's like maintaining a human shape, abandoning a huge body size, maintaining explosive power and dexterity, retaining a human appearance, and so on. These options are actually a waste and unnecessary. Is an extra expense in evolution. But because of Gu Wen's idea, the final result kept these wasteful options. So, in fact, I have already decided my own path subconsciously. A vague answer appeared in Gu Wen's mind, but not yet expressed. He pondered for a while, thinking that this was not urgent. It is better to get familiar with the body after the second metamorphosis. He went against the river, walked through the narrow underground channel, and slowly returned to the ground. Outside world. 10 days have passed. No one stayed in this former battlefield. After Konoha organized multiple manpower searches, he also abandoned this area and focused on other places. They don't think Gu Wen is still here. When Gu Wen returned to the ground, the sky is full of stars, and the night sky is light. Liao. In front of me is a plain that can't be seen. The former mountain peaks are all gone, only the ground is as smooth as a stone masonry. This is the solid ground forged by Fugaku's technique after the peaks collapsed. Advertisement. Ad snapped. When Guwen stepped on it, there was only a crack the size of a bowl. After his second metamorphosis, he gained weight again, has come to 5 tons of weight. The foothold is only the size of 2 feet, and the pressure on the ground can be imagined. Ordinary bluestone floor tiles would collapse if he stepped on them now. Fugaku is dead. Who will Kano-san next? Jiraiya, or Akamaru, Namikaze Minato, or is Nanoshio third Hokage doing it himself? Guwen muttered to himself. It doesn't matter who comes. The physical strength is 7 times higher than that of ordinary people. On the basis of maintaining the human form, under the real-world physics, it shows extremely terrifying strength and physique. The beating of the heart was as loud as the beating of a drum. Listen carefully, and you can hear the buzzing sound coming from Guwen's body. This is the sound of blood flowing, surging like a river. Walking to this small river, Guwen looked at himself in the reflection, as if seeing a giant beast in human form, breathing lightly and exhaling strongly like a strong wind. The muscles of the whole body are knotted and refined, as if cast from molten iron. Holding the arm, the flesh is tense. A ferocious breath emanated out, making people feel frightened from the bottom of their hearts. Even if there is any change in Guwen's expression, he just looks at the water calmly, and there is a real lure covering the river within hundreds of meters. The fish, shrimps, snails, crabs and other creatures in it all rolled their bellies. Instantly died. Shock. Guwen took a light breath as usual and devoured the corpses. A faint stream of heat, not enough to squeeze between the teeth, appeared in the body. Advertisement. Ad before metamorphosis. This can have an amount of at least 0.01, but let alone 0.01 now. There is not even 0.0001. Fugaku's tricks were simulated by me in this way. Guwen didn't care about the heat flow, but focused on his body. In the second metamorphosis, his will is connected with the spirit of the body. Metabolism, organ movement, muscle activity, nerve electrical signals, etc., are all 100% controlled. Rather than just a metamorphosis, influence through stimulation. From influence 8 to control, it can be called a leap from 0 to 1. As long as Guwen concentrates a little, puts his body into an active state, and secretes a large amount of hormones, he will emit strong pheromones and signal hints. These are pheromones and hints, which directly affect the survival instinct of creatures to seek advantages and avoid disadvantages. Every life naturally stays away from things that may be harmful to them. This program of staying away is intuitively manifested as a strong emotion, fear. Guwen's skillful hormone adjustment reinforces this fear 7 times the life intensity of ordinary people. It emits a large amount of pheromones and hints, instantly triggering the survival switch in the life genes, causing them to fall into intense fear. The instant soaring fear will put the creature into a state of overload. Cold sweat, trembling, bulging blood vessels, racing heart, surge in blood pressure, etc. The result is only one: sudden death. That is to say, I was scared to death. Nice clearing skills. Guwen nodded in satisfaction. With this trick, I don't need to kill the prey one by one, especially after going out to sea. I can directly frighten the fish school, and I can kill a large one at a time. Dragon Boat Festival reading big discount. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge. Activity time, June 22nd to June 24th, Chapter 39 Minato's Guilt. Yes, Guwen still decided to go to sea. He will complete the accumulation of 7 to 15 in the sea and complete the 3rd transformation. Then come back and collect the tailed beast. Since Chakra is also a living creature that can be devoured, a tailed beast that is super active and even behaves like a living creature is undoubtedly the best hunting target. After 3 transformations, after completing the sublimation, he should be able to let go of his hands and feet completely. After all, apart from humans, there are some powerful beings in the ninja world. For example, Mount Mae Ringbaku has the Great Toad Sage with prophecy ability, the monster of Langquan Kingdom, Wanglian, the Dragon Vein in Lulan, the Sage of 6 Paths in Pure Land, the Oet Satsuki Shrine on the moon, and the Goddess Kaguya in the depths of the moon. And these existences are hostile to Guwen's position. This is a matter of course. They stood out from their respective cruel struggles when human beings were still in ignorance, occupying the top of the ecological niche in this world. Compared with them, Guwen is a latecomer, an outsider who broke into the already divided territory. Between each other, there will inevitably be irreconcilable contradictions due to the occupation of this world's resources. This contradiction is even more acute than that between Guwen and the humans of the same race. Guwen can spare many people, let go of those weak civilians, but the aforementioned existence will not let Guwen go. The very existence of Guwen is a threat to them. For example, I feel that people should understand each other, so I share chakra, and then sit back and watch the 2 sons Indra and Ashura continue to struggle in reincarnation, and finally decide who is the most suitable sage of 6 paths to inherit his position. He regards this world as his well-manicured back garden. How could it be possible to tolerate Guwen's wanton plundering? The path I chose is really dangerous. Enemies all over the world. Advertisement. Ad. But Guwen just sighed softly. There was no wave in his eyes, and he seemed to be saying calmly, as if he was going to work again today. After all, This road is like this. Guwin looked away. He walked slowly downstream along the river. Fugaku's pupil spell destroyed the mountains, but did not destroy the river. Only the rocks from the mountain's collapse blocked it. However, someone came to clear it. It should have been done by Konoha Shinobi, who came to check on him, and Fugaku later. Continue to walk for about 10 days, and you will reach the seaside. After Guwin finished this sentence, he stopped talking. In the dark, a heavy figure walked alone in the wilderness. Konohagakure, a public cemetery located in the back hill. Namikaze Minato stands in front of a grave, staring sadly at the names on the headstones. Hate Kakashi. On the left and right sides, there are 2 tombstones that were also newly erected this year. Nohara Len, Akai Obito. Sorry Kakashi, sensei, I'm late again. Namikaze Minato, with moist eyes, covered his face with his hands in pain, and wept softly. 3 of his disciples died one after another this year. Rock Shinobi Battlefield, where his later rival got Obito killed. Mist Shinobi Battlefield, his later rival Nohara Rin was captured and implanted in the Seal of 3 Tails. Advertisement. Add the same is true for Kakashi this time. If he could have ended the battle on Cloud Shinobi earlier and returned to the Land of Fire earlier, Kakashi and the others might not have died. I'm really an incompetent teacher. I can't protect you well every time. I am not qualified to be your teacher. Minato cried bitterly, his face full of helplessness. Disciple and teacher are one of the deepest bonds among ninjas. What's more, Namikaze Minato is still a person who values AA feelings. He is also very young, only in his early 20s, and he is not yet used to death and departure. Far away, a woman with bright red hair also shed tears silently. Minato. She looked at Namikaze Minato sadly, not knowing how to comfort him. The 2 stayed in the cemetery for a long time. Nightfall. They just left, with a sad aftertaste in their eyes, and they haven't let it go yet. And after they left, the air suddenly twisted. A black-robed figure emerged from the twisted Uzumaki and stood over Kakashi's grave. He wears an orange Uzumaki mask, revealing a Sharingan on the right. Kakashi. Lin. Looking at the tombs of the 2 former friends, Obito's heart aches. There seemed to be a fire burning in his internal organs, which made him feel extremely painful. Wait for me, and I will create a world where you are again. Kakashi, you're responsible for killing Lin. We'll settle it later. Obito silently swears in his heart. Advertisement. He stood for a while, and with his right Image-Kie rings Kamui, warped the space away. Return to the Land of Rain. Obito walked into his resting place here. Black Setsu came up to meet him, and asked in his hoarse voice, is there anything you can gain from this trip to Konoha? Obito glanced at it, and answered indifferently. Namikaze Minato intends to attack Fumi Hisada. Namikaze Minato. Black Setsu's tone was a bit hesitant. Can he deal with Fumi Hisada? That guy is not ordinary. Even Fugaku, who has Mange-Kie ring, is no match for him. I'm afraid. What are you worried about? Obito interrupted it and said coldly, Time-space ninjutsu is invincible. A ninja who masters space-time ninjutsu can only fight against another person who has time-space ninjutsu. What's more, Namikaze Minato is known as the speed of the yellow flash. Iwagakure even issued an unwritten rule. If you encounter a yellow flash, you can immediately abandon the mission and run away without penalty. This kind of honor has so far only been obtained by White Fang, who once swept the Sand Shinobi battlefield. Black Setsu was silent. It thinks that there is something wrong with Kuta Wen, because there is no blood succession boundary that swallows life at all in the world. Its mother, the goddess of Mao, is the ancestor of chakra. It knows better than anyone what chakra and blood succession boundary are. Well, I was too worried. But Black Setsu didn't insist, but followed Obito's words to end the conversation. Maybe it's overthinking it. After all, the ninja world is so big, every once in a while, there will be a strange strong human being. Black Setsu has seen too many in these 1,000 years. Dragon Boat Festival reading big discount. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge. Activity time, June 22nd to June 24th. Chapter 40 Development of Deterrence Skills. Leave the plains. Guwin walked all night and entered a rolling hill. He wasn't tired at all, and he was as energetic as if he didn't need to sleep. A night of walking was not even a warm-up for him. His unbelievably strong physique is like a perpetual motion machine that does not need to rest, producing energy continuously. Ordinary people are already exhausted after traveling all night. Even if it is a ninja, it takes a day or two to repair to ensure combat effectiveness. But Guwin doesn't need it. Rest is time for muscles to repair damage and metabolize lactic acid. Sleep is the time for spinal fluid to enter the brain and take away waste products from brain tissue. These physiological needs are smoothed out one by Guwin's strong resilience. No rest needed. No sleep needed. Any damage to the body will be repaired immediately. He is 100% perfect all the time. 7.28, an improvement of 0.07. Guwin sat in an unusually dense forest, feeling the intensity of his own life. Midnight time. Along the way, the pheromones were released with all their strength, and hundreds of animals, birds, and reptiles panicked as if they had encountered a natural enemy, and died of horror on the spot. They give Guwin a 0.07 increase in health strength. Before changing to the second metamorphosis, there should be at least a value of 0.2, 0.3. The growth rate has been reduced by more than 3 times. Guwin was not surprised. His face was as calm as before. The path of evolution becomes more and more difficult. This is inevitable. Advertisement. Ad roar. Oh. At this time, a wolf howl sounded in front of Gu Wen. One after another, a pack of chakra-scented wolves surround their prey with bared teeth. Every wolf's eyes are shining with green light, fierce, greedy, cunning. They have strong bodies, twice the length of ordinary wild wolves, and are more than 2 meters long. They look like gray-haired tigers of different colors. At the same time, the chakra breath they exude is enough to surprise all ninjas. This is undoubtedly an excellent ninja beast. Each one has the strength of an ordinary Chunin, and their intelligence is not low. Even if J.A. Ringnan saw it, he would be tempted to make a contract. What's more, this is not just one, but a pack of wolves. Ordinary wolves are so powerful, it is conceivable that the Wolf King among them will be even more amazing. Roar a broken bar. But now, the target of the wolves' siege is their Wolf King. A giant wolf with a huge body and shiny silver hair, as big as a horse and 3 times the size of a normal wolf, was surrounded by wolves. It growled low, making threatening noises. His eyes shone with a miserable green light, full of brutal killing intent. Occasionally, his eyes glanced at Gu Wen, who was sitting 50 meters away, and a look of surprise and uncertainty flashed in the eyes of this giant wolf, with a vague fear in his expression. After this human appeared, the wolves rebelled inexplicably. The former subordinates even united to besiege its leader. This is an incomprehensible thing in the Wolf King's few wisdom. Advertisement. Ad during the stalemate, a wild wolf chose to attack from behind. The sharp teeth bit the Wolf King's back. The timing and speed were astonishing. It was almost a perfect attack. But for the Wolf King with more grandmaster hunting skills, this kind of sneak attack is too obvious. Roar. The Wolf King dodged, turned his head and opened his mouth, and bit down hard. Click. The attacking wolf had its neck bitten off, and blood spattered everywhere. In less than a few breaths, the eyes of the sneaking wolf lost their light. Roar. The Wolf King bit the corpse. His mouth was full of scarlet blood, and he glanced around with cold eyes. But it is not fear and obedience that respond to it, but a pair of cruel eyes. The pack of wolves attacked the Wolf King from all directions without fear of life and death. 2 fists are no match for 4 hands. Even the extremely strong Wolf King could only kill 7 of his former subordinates with all his strength, and then he was bitten to death by the wolves. After killing the Wolf King, the wolves howled happily. It was as cheerful as killing a fat prey. They dragged the Wolf King's body to Gu Wen, and squatted up one by one, showing flattering, obedient, and respectful expressions. Good job. Gu Wen smiled at them and inhaled lightly. The corpse of the Wolf King in front of him was squeezed clean by his ability and turned into a mummy. At the same time, a heat stream appeared in Gu Wen's body. Advertisement. Add life strength, 7.28 A 7.3, plus 0.02. Seeing the Wolf King turned into a mummy, the wolves panicked, but soon calmed down. As Gu Wen got up and continued to walk, the wolves followed him left and right, wagging their tails, and followed Gu Wen forward. In their eyes, Gu Wen is not a human being, but a very strong, very powerful, but strange-looking wolf. Gu Wen is their leader. A pack of wolves can only have one leader, the strongest. The previous Wolf King, obviously not the strongest, usurped the position of leader, which violated their survival rules, so he was killed by the wolves' counterattack. The skill of deterrence really has a deeper development space. Gu Wen looked at the accompanying pack of wolves with a smile on his lips. My development direction is different from Fugaku's. The so-called deterrence is essentially to strengthen the release of pheromones. I use my breath of life beyond normal creatures to stimulate the other party's instinct to seek advantages and avoid disadvantages, thereby triggering a strong physiological impulse in an instant, leading to sudden death. But this kind of method is too rough to use in killing. The vast majority of creatures other than humans are dominated by primitive instincts. They don't even have the concept of the same kind, and they only vaguely classify things in the outside world as enemies, prey, mating objects, and harmless things. Only a few animals have the concept of companionship. To distinguish companions from enemies, they only use the monotonous and crude method of smell. Gu Wen was inspired by this. Can I adjust my own smell and pheromones so that animals can misjudge and manipulate and influence them? Indeed. Dragon Boat Festival reading big discount. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge. Activity time, June 22nd to June 24th, Chapter 41, Tasada wins race. The wolves backfired, and killing them, the Wolf King, was the best proof. A metamorphosis, the body is perfect, and the potential of genes is released. The second metamorphosis, the spirit is perfect, and the spirit and body are initially integrated. Gu Wen doesn't need any learning, he instinctively knows how to adjust his own smell and pheromones, and his will is carried out in every cell. As long as he wants, he can do it. After each transformation, the body has a great deal of potential to develop. What restricts him from becoming stronger is nothing but his thoughts. Joy, Gu Wen said lightly. While speaking, he adjusted his own scent and pheromone secretion. After a few seconds, a wolf-to-wolf emotional expression message emanating from Gu Wen. The wolves felt the joy of the leader. They were infected by this emotion, and their steps became cheerful. Woo, woo. The wolves howled leisurely and comfortably. Anger. In the next moment, Gu Wen fine-tuned the pheromone. The atmosphere of the wolves suddenly changed from joy to restlessness for no reason. They don't know why. they just feel the anger of the leader. So one by one gritted their teeth, gasped for breath, and walked around in large numbers, wondering if there were provocative prey. Burnout. Excited. Advertisement. Add fear. On the way, Guwen tried again and again. The wolves were exhausted by his torment, and Guwen is more skilled in the adjustment and release of pheromones. Gradually, a strange breath emanated. From a distance, Guwen seems to have turned into a wolf walking on two legs. Cold, cruel, cunning. The advantages of wolves are fully manifested in him. This is a strong pheromone, which forms a large amount of information and rushes into the brain of the recipient, occupying the brain processor and covering the information in the field of vision. Any creature, sapient or not, no matter how intelligent it is, when seeing Guwen for the first time, he only sees a strange-looking wolf, rather than a person. Tricking the brain? No. This is me, manipulating their brains, Guwen muttered to himself. Mist China by battlefield. In the Lord's main tent, Jiraiya rubbed his temples wearily, his expression heavy. Aren't you going to take a break? Orochimaru asked as he walked in from the outside. No, I don't worry if I don't go back soon. Jiraiya sighed, and said, the teacher is very urgent. And the great toad sage of Mount Mae Ringbaku also said that there are very important things to find, so I will leave now. Does Mount Mae Ringbaku? Hearing this, Orochimaru nodded thoughtfully. Mount Mae Ringbaku, one of the three holy lands, is home to the great toad sage, which is rumored to have the power of prophecy. Advertisement. Jiraiya was guided by the other party before and got a prophecy. Then you go, leave this place to me. Orochimaru waved his hand. Sorry to bother you. Jiraiya feels guilty. What are you talking about? Orochimaru looked at him amusedly. Miss Shinobi can't hold on any longer, and will negotiate a truce with us in a few days, just some finishing work. Jiraiya laughed. He was indeed a little hypocritical. Without further ado, he patted Orochimaru on the shoulder and walked out of the tent. And in the country of fire, Namikaze Minato accepted a long-term mission issued by 3rd Hokage, a hunt for Fumi Hisada. He took over Ambu and Jin's investigation information, and at the same time persuaded the cooperation of the Underground Exchange to find Guwen's whereabouts in the Land of Fire. If they don't find Guwen, they won't feel at ease. But 10 days have passed. Many traces have disappeared. The scene of the battle at that time was also very intense, destroying many clues. Namikaze Minato starts almost from scratch. If I were Fumi Hisada, where would I go? Namikaze Minato thought about it, and came to the plane left by Fugaku fighting Guwen 10 days ago. Although not the first time I saw it, he was extremely shocked. It's unbelievable that human beings can possess such powerful power. Will he continue to choose to go to sea, or will there be revenge on Konoha? Namikaze Minato walked into the plane, looking casually while thinking. He came back here hoping to find some inspiration. Sudden, Namikaze Minato narrowed his eyes, his expression became solemn, and rushed tens of meters to the edge of the river in the plain. Advertisement. He frowned, carefully scanning his surroundings. Then he slowly squatted down and looked at the mud by the river. A line of deep footprints spread towards the distance. The footprints were extremely deep, 4 or 5 centimeters into the soil. Looking ahead, the footprints stepped on the solid and hard plain, leaving cracks like spider webs. This ice a broken bar. Namikaze Minato's heart beat faster. Kuta Win. He clearly remembered that the intelligence recorded that Kuta Win had an extraordinary weight. I once stepped on the bluestone brick floor with bare feet in the town lounge, and the bricks burst. And the footprints in front of him were very similar to what was described in the information. The traces of the footprints are very fresh and have been away for less than a day. This guy hasn't left yet. Is he staying here to recuperate? Leaving now means his injury is healed? Namikaze Minato frowned. He came here just to find inspiration for the search, but he didn't expect to run into the real master directly. What a surprise. Do you want to catch up? Namikaze Minato hesitated for only half a second, with a look of determination in his eyes. We must chase and confirm his position before Fumi Hisada has gone far. This is a godsend opportunity, and we must not miss it. And I have the Flying Thunder God technique, so I can run if I can't beat it. No matter how fast his speed is, it can't be faster than the teleporting space-time ninjutsu. Namikaze Minato bit his finger and made a summoning technique. He summoned a toad from Mount Mae Ringbaku, and quickly wrote a scroll of information for the toad to send back to Konoha. I followed the footprints and used the body flicker technique to catch up. Good to win. I will definitely catch you. Dragon Boat Festival reading big discount. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge. Activity time, June 22nd to June 24th. Chapter 42. Minato is seriously injured, 100 meters, 200 meters, 300 meters. Namikaze Minato followed the footprints. His heart was beating faster and faster, and his whole body was shaking. Excited, thrilled, scared. All kinds of scenes about him encountering Fumiki Hisada head-on appeared in his mind. A rehearsal plan for each battle came to mind. Facing a powerful and cruel enemy, Namikaze Minato dare not be careless. 500 meters, 1000 meters, 2 kilometers. Surprised, he turned over the mountains and saw something walking ahead in the distance. Instantly, a hot current rushed straight to his forehead, and a trace of anger burned in his heart. Namikaze Minato showed sharp eyes. He took a deep breath, left a handful of Flying Thunder God kunai in place, and lean on it quietly. As the distance shortens, he gradually saw the group of walking things clearly. It's a pack of wolves. But the problem is, the footprints that spread all the way from the river are also among the wolves. Is Kuta win among these wolves? Look closer. Namikaze Minato was puzzled and decided to get closer. Human vision is generally around 300 meters. If you want to see clearly, you must be within 100 meters at least. Namikaze Minato has no special pupil technique, and his eyesight is naturally within the range of normal people. He stepped on one tree after another and came 100 meters away from the leisurely strolling pack of wolves, with astonishment in his eyes. Advertisement. Ad I saw one. A wolf that walks upright. Namikaze Minato was surprised, but not too surprised. It is not surprising that there are too many strange ninja beasts in the ninja world. Jayutanwan's footprints all the way back to the wolves. Even if he himself is not in the wolves must have something to do with him. Thinking of this, Namikaze Minato couldn't help rubbing his eyes. Do not know why. He seemed to be a little confused about the specific appearance of the upright wolf. Well, while he was rubbing his eyes, the giant upright wolf in front of him turned around suspiciously. Guin noticed the small tail. He didn't care. When Konoha finds him, he will send more powerful people to kill him. It's just that he was a little surprised that the little guy whose life strength was no more than Ja Ringnin actually felt within 100 meters of him. Isn't this guy afraid of death? Namikaze Minato also opened his eyes at the same moment, meeting Guin's gaze. Then, he saw the face of the upright walking wolf, showing the appearance of Jayutanwan. For a moment, Namikaze Minato's hairs stood on end. Goosebumps aroused on his skin. What a wolf. That's obviously could have been himself. But the strange thing is, Namikaze Minato clearly saw that it was Fumi Hisada, but there seemed to be a voice in his mind insisting that it was a wolf. The figures of wolves and humans are constantly changing in the eyes of Namikaze Minato. Consciousness seems to be disturbed, and the normal ability of discrimination has become lost. It turned out to be Namikaze Minato. I said, who is so bold? Also at this time, Guin glanced at him indifferently, and a large amount of pheromone was released in a targeted manner. Advertisement. Ad boom. Namikaze Minato's head buzzed. Intense fear exploded in his heart. The string of reason snapped directly. The tenacious will and belief, in the face of this sense of fear, are as fragile as a solitary boat in a storm, easily covered. He seems to have come to the darkest moment of his life. Desperation. Fear. There was no thought of rebellion. There is only one thought in the mind of the whole person. Escape! Exclamation mark. Call out a broken bar. Namikaze Minato instinctively activated the Flying Thunder God technique, time and space transfer. The figure disappeared instantly. Because the speed of disappearing is too fast, the light reflected by the hair has not yet left. To the naked eye, it looks like a golden light flashes, and Namikaze Minato disappears. Boom. The moment Namikaze Minato left, a stone fell on his position, making a cannonball-like explosion. The ground collapsed, blasting a hole the size of a room. Did you escape? Guin looked away with a calm expression. In his perception, Namikaze Minato's breath of life is not strong, and the activity of chakra in his body is also very general. Perhaps in the realm of humans, Namikaze Minato is strong. After all, space-time ninjutsu is almost unsolvable. But for Guin, Namikaze Minato provides about the same heat flow as the average Inbu ninja, not as much as Akaya with 3 Tomoe Sharingan. From an output standpoint, he has very little value. Transfer to 1,000 meters away in an instant. Let me let you go this time. Guin turned his head and continued on his way towards the sea. Advertisement. Ad. Judging from Namikaze Minato's expression just now, he was also affected by pheromones. His brain was affected, and he misjudged me as a wolf. When looking at my face, the information received by the visual field conflicts with the information of the pheromone. The images of man and wolf appear alternately. There seems to be an uncanny valley effect. A thoughtful look appeared in Guin's eyes. Sure enough, the development of the skill of shock and all will have more unique uses. Many people think that what they see is the world, but the world doesn't know what to see. The frequencies of invisible light, magnetic fields, fluctuations, sounds, smells, etc., countless complex and subtle sensations that you can't even perceive by yourself, jointly build human cognition. It's so fragile, this cognition. Guin sighed softly. Just the interference of pheromones will cause the brain to produce self-consistent contradictions, thus blocking the process of thinking. Human wisdom seems to be prosperous and splendid, but the essence of life is still primitive and simple. This strengthened Guin's determination to use the devouring ability. Being trapped by the innate body, cognition restricted by the scope of the 5 senses, emotions and feelings affected by hormones. Guin couldn't bear it. He wants to break free from all shackles and become an eternal existence. The other side. Namikaze Minato used the Flying Thunder God technique several times in a row. He kept flickering and appearing in the position of the Flying Thunder God he placed, moving from the forest back to the plain, from the plain to the river, and then back to the town. Boom. A broken bar. In an ordinary-looking house, several Anbu were startled by a sudden sound. Minato-kun, Minato-san. They stared in surprise at Namikaze Minato who appeared in the room. The other party was pale and slammed into the cabinet with a weak expression, knocking all the materials and scrolls stored inside to the ground. Dragon Boat Festival reading big discount. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge. Activity time, June 22 to June 24, Chapter 43, Persistent Panic. Feel sorry. A broken bar. Just as Namikaze Minato was about to say something, his face suddenly changed. Puff. A mouthful of blood spurted out. His face lost all color, and a heavy black shadow covered his eyes, and his consciousness fell into a dizziness uncontrollably. Minato, the Anbu ninja in the room rushed to support him, but their voices fell on Namikaze Minato's ears, but it was as far away as the sky. Several Anbu were in a hurry, and quickly put Minato on the bed to lie down. They found a companion who mastered medical ninjutsu to check on Minato, but the result was surprising. There was no trauma, poisoning, and no trace of being in the jutsu. But Namikaze Minato's vital signs declined rapidly. Fever, cold sweat, trembling, dehydration, soaring blood pressure, overexcited heart, as if he was about to die suddenly in the next second. There's no way to even appease it. If this continues, Minato-kun's body will not be able to hold on anymore. What happened to him? I don't know, but the Flying Thunder God Kunai here, Minato-kun said that he would not use it unless it was in danger. Could it be that he met that guy? As soon as the name that guy came out, the room fell silent for a moment. Everyone's face became disturbed. After seeing the battlefield where the mountains turned into plains, Fumi Hisata's terror was deeply imprinted in their hearts. In the face of terrifying forces beyond imagination, no one is not afraid. In short, let's report the situation back to the village. This proposal was unanimously approved. As for Namikaze Minato, the medical ninjas in the team were also at a loss. Advertisement. Add only routine operations such as wiping sweat, feeding liquid food, and infusing normal saline can be performed. He had no idea what was wrong with Namikaze Minato. Konoha Hirise. Minato, you're in such a hurry. Third Hokage frowned, watching the message from Namikaze Minato about Fumi Hisata's trace. Not long after, another urgent call came from Anbu, saying that Namikaze Minato was injured and unconscious. The stationed Anbu was powerless to treat him. How come a broken bar? Third Hokage was taken aback and asked in surprise, Minato clearly has the Flying Thunder God technique. His expression became solemn. Minato can't have an accident. This child is an excellent ninja who has inherited the will of fire, and his strength is also extremely outstanding. Decades later, Minato must hold up the girder of Konoha. Send a team of medical ninjas, set off now, and hurry. Third Hokage ordered Anbu. Also, send a message to Tsunade and ask her to check on Minato as well. Anbu's ninja leaves with a mission. That night, a team of medical ninjas arrived at the same time as Tsunade. After meeting up, the two came to the house where Anbu was stationed, and saw Namikaze Minato, who was in a coma with a high fever. Really, I was already planning to go on a trip, but the old man called me back just as I was leaving. Tsunade vented his dissatisfaction. She glanced at Namikaze Minato, who didn't look like he was seriously injured. I feel relaxed. Naturally, the team of medical ninjas will be responsible for the small matter of checking the physical condition. Dilated pupils, irregular heartbeat, high blood pressure. Advertisement. Add viscera. Why is the gallbladder inflamed? No poisoning, no trauma, no chakra and surgery. What's going on? After the medical ninja checked, he was confused by the results. Tsunade listened, frowning. She walked through the crowd to the bed and checked on Namikaze Minato herself. After a piece of viewing, Tsunade's face turned serious. Something's wrong. This is not a disease at all, but the body's natural response to external stimuli. Cold sweat, trembling, cold hands and feet, bristling hair. All symptoms of panic. Is Minato under illusion? Tsunade frowned, and turned to look at Anbu's people. An Anbu stepped out, taking off his mask. Under the mask was the face of an old and tired middle-aged man. The sunset is so red. Kurino Yui's father, J.A. Ringnin, who is a master of illusion, is rumored to be so powerful that even the Sharingan of the Akai clan cannot counteract it. There is no illusion, Yui Zenhong affirmed. As someone with the highest illusion attainment in Konoha, his words are naturally authoritative. Tsunade nodded and looked back at Minato. A solemn look flashed through his eyes. It's not an illusion. It's troublesome. Tsunade muttered to himself. She was engrossed, and at first she could only be treated by the medical team. However, broken bar. Been working on it for hours, to no avail. Namikaze Minato's condition became more and more serious. His lips were pale, he was lying on the bed trembling, his hands and feet were as cold as ice. Tsunade racked his brains beside him. There was a dejected expression on her face. That guy Hisata, what did he do to Minato? Advertisement. Add despair. For the first time in my life, I don't know what causes a patient to get sick. And over time, Namikaze Minato's vital signs declined rapidly. Master Tsunade, the patient's organs are about to fail. The blood pressure is too high, it can't go down, and his heart is going to strike. Get ready for surgery. The patient's brain has a ruptured blood vessel and is bleeding. Physiological system collapsed. The reports made Tsunade even more anxious. If you don't think of a way, Namikaze Minato will die. In Konoha village, the high-level people who are always paying attention to the situation are anxious like hands on a hot pot. The medical team sent and Tsunade presided over the treatment, but it didn't help at all, and they could only watch Minato's condition worsen. Tsunade, who has the most medical knowledge, gave them a diagnosis that made the senior management doubt life. As the panic attack continued, the excited spirit caused the body to overreact, and the internal organs collapsed after high-intensity operation, leading to death. To put it simply, I was scared to death. Isn't this funny? Namikaze Minato Guerrilla Battlefield. Hit the name of the yellow flash. Such a person will be scared to death because of fear, but it is what it is. Human beings are actually very fragile beings. The brain usually regulates metabolism and internal circulation through hormones, and a little stimulation often leads to excessive secretion of hormones, or suppresses the normal secretion of another hormone. If the stimulus cannot be selected in time, the brain will get used to the ultimate of this stimulus. As a result, various strange diseases are formed physiologically, such as depression, anxiety, mania, schizophrenia, etc. Dragon Boat Festival Reading Big Discount. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge. Activity time, June 22nd to June 24th. Chapter 44, Immortal Talisman. Namikaze Minato is just that. When I met Guin face to face, my brain was stimulated by excessive pheromones, and an electrical signal that exceeded the threshold was generated in an instant, which directly overwhelmed the normal operation mechanism of the brain. Like a rubber band, it can spring back several times before stretching to its limit. But if the instantaneous force is too strong, it exceeds the limit of the rubber band, then it will snap. Namikaze Minato is a snap rubber band right now. His brain has been broken under the impact of excessive electrical signals. It will only repeatedly lead the body into a hyperactive state. Not to mention the ninja world, even the modern medicine of the previous Earth cannot effectively treat the situation. Increase the dose of tranquilizers. Tsunade frowned. Yes, the medical ninja prepared a calming potion, pierced Namikaze Minato's blood vessel, and slowly pushed it into the blood. With tranquilizers in effect, Namikaze Minato's breathing gradually calmed down, and his heartbeat and blood pressure dropped significantly. 4. No, calm down once every 3 hours. After Tsunade finished speaking, he left to look through the medical records sent by Konoha. She hopes to find some detailed cases and find inspiration from them. Tranquilizers treat the symptoms but not the root cause. If the problem is not solved, Minato's organs will fail and die sooner or later due to overdose. She also asked the Katsu Immortal in the Shikon Forest, but the other party couldn't help it, saying that it was mental damage, and it could only heal physical damage. The time came to midnight. Tsunade walked out of the room wearily, with a troubled look on his face. Advertisement. At Tsunade. In the corridor, an old woman called out to him. Elder Koharu? Tsunade turned his head and looked at the person in surprise. Why are you here? We are really worried about Minato's situation. Udatane Koharu shook his head and said, if Hiruzen didn't want to sit in Konoha, he would have rushed over. There was a pause. Udatane Koharu continued, how is Minato doing? Not too good. Tsunade sighed, and said helplessly, I've never seen such a situation before, and I'm helpless. I'm afraid. The rest of the words are not finished. But Udatane Koharu understood what Tsunade meant. Instead of blaming, she comforted Tsunade and said, ninjas should have the awareness to sacrifice at any time. This child has met Fumi Hisada. It is very rare to be able to come back alive. Even Fugaku, who awakened the Mange Kie-ring Sharingan, died at the hands of that guy. Don't be burdened. The kid Minato is unlucky and has nothing to do with you. Tsunade's expression eased, and the pressure in his heart eased. Seeing that Tsunade listened to Jin's persuasion, Koharu felt comforted. She continued, your task has been completed. If Minato really can't survive, I will bring his body back to the village, and you can continue your vacation. Udatane Koharu touched Tsunade's head, smiled and left. Tsunade stood where he was, clenching his fists hard. She felt deeply powerless. It seems to go back to the time when the original lover Kato-den and younger brother Nawaki died. Kudo-wen, Tsunade growled through gritted teeth. The hatred for Guin suddenly rose in his heart. There are so many people who died for the village. Everyone is working hard for the dream of peace. You are the only guy who chooses to betray everyone. Damn you. Advertisement. Ad. Konoha, Hokage office. Third Hokage looked at the latest information and let out a long sigh. If Minato dies, Koharu will bring his body back. Before, Danzo took the scroll that recorded the information, and fell silent after reading it. The office was quiet for a long time. Danzo stepped forward and patted his old friend on the shoulder, and comforted him. Look at it. At least Minato proved that Fumi Yakuta is not invincible. It is not easy for him to face when few more alone and come back alive. There are only a handful of people in the village who are sure to escape unscathed. Third Hokage squeezed the space between his eyebrows, but didn't speak. Minato could have grown into a stronger ninja at such a young age. It's such a pity to die now. Don't tell Kushina about this. Third Hokage thought for a while and said, yeah, I know. Danzo nodded. In a clean room, Namikaze Minato closed his eyes and lay on the bed. Tsunade glanced at the instrument. The heart rate on it was dropping, from 90 to 80, 70 slowly. Under normal circumstances, a person's heart rate is around 60 when lying down. Minato was in a state of hyperactivity from panic. The heart rate dropped, which meant that his heart couldn't hold on anymore. Is he dying? Udatane Koharu asked softly. Maybe there are still a few minutes. Tsunade turned his face away, unable to bear to look. A group of medical ninjas and Anpu members stood silently behind them. Advertisement. Ad. They all bowed their heads in silence for the ninja who was about to die young. Yellow Flash. As if just like his name, he was amazing when he came, and he went in a hurry. Minato, just when everyone is desperate, waiting for Minato to lose his life. A white-haired figure broke into the house. Since Jiraiya, Tsunade looked at the man in surprise and called out his name. Master Jiraiya, Master Jiraiya, Master Jiraiya. Udaine Koharu was also surprised and asked, Jiraiya, aren't you on the Mist Shinobi battlefield? Why are you here? Sorry, long story short. The visitor has white hair, and his facial features are not handsome, but he has a hearty and heroic temperament. Great Toad Sage predicted that Minato's life was in danger, so he told me in advance, and let me save Minato's life. After saying this, the eyes of all the people present were brightened. Minato saved. All give way. Jiraiya walked into the room, making quick mudras with his hands. Before everyone could react, Jong patted the four walls, the ground and the ceiling respectively. After counting interest, a barrier that isolates sound and breath is erected. Tsunade and Udaine Koharu couldn't help being surprised. This performance of making and arranging the enchantment at will shows Jiraiya's superb ceiling skills and chakra control ability. It is difficult for people in the ceiling class to do it. Minato, Sensei is here to save you. Looking at the disciple on the bed, Jiraiya took out a paper talisman from his bosom. Dragon Boat Festival reading big discount. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge. Activity time, June 22nd to June 24th. Chapter 45. Get the future back on track! The moment this talisman was taken out, it lit up with emerald green light. A rich and warm vitality was released in the light. In the room, like a spring breeze blowing, vitality is released. Everyone felt their bodies relax. The hidden wounds and hidden dangers in the body were swept away, and the lost vitality was replenished. Udaine Koharu even felt that he was several years younger, and all kinds of stiffness and pain in his body, under the comfort of this light, melted like winter snow and became warm. Tsunade's brows eased, and he gently covered his heart with his palm. She felt that her spirit was soothed, and her depressed heart after suffering from blood phobia found a trace of peace. Jiraiya, this is the breath of fairy art. Udaine Koharu and Tsunade spoke at the same time. The others also looked at the talisman in Jiraiya's hand in surprise. Hey, this is the treasure of Mount Maya Ringbaku, immortal talisman. The Great Toad Sage said it is the last stock. Jiraiya said, placing the talisman on Minato's heart. You earned it. Ding, a broken bar. The talisman moved slightly when it touched Minato. It makes a clear sound like a wind chime. The next moment, the moist green light spread out, covering Minato's whole body softly like water waves. The light flows slowly, like a mother's gentle touch. Minato's frowning brows were relaxed, and his expression gradually calmed down. Minato-kun's vital signs have returned to normal indicators. Advertisement. Ad. Is this the power of fairy art? It's amazing vitality, and it's very delicate and soft. It's many times better than medical ninjutsu. The medical ninjas murmured in amazement. Jiraiya was also relieved to see Minato's breathing steady. That should be fine. He put the talisman back into his arms, turned to look at Tsunade. Tsunade, please give Minato another check. Good. Tsunade stepped forward, and after checking it, he looked quite surprised. It turned out to be completely fine. The body that should have collapsed has recovered intact, and it is stronger and full of vitality than before. It seems that there is nothing wrong with it, and it will probably wake up soon, Tsunade said. With Tsunade's confirmation, the big stone in everyone's heart finally landed. Udaine Koharu was even more delighted, and hurriedly said, I'll tell Hiruzen the good news right away. She quickly left the room. The others also bowed deeply to Jiraiya and returned to their posts. The medical ninjas are tired after a whole day of treatment and need to rest. The Anbu ninjas are stationed here, and they already have their missions. In the room, only Tsunade, Jiraiya, and Namikaze Minato are left. The barrier is still there. I can't tell. You're quite popular. Tsunade raised an eyebrow and joked. Everyone bowed to you before leaving. Ha ha ha, after all, I am the one who stands out on the battlefield. Jiraiya put her finger under her chin and said slightly smugly. That's right, Sage Mode defeated Onoki who mastered the Dust Dungeon in public. Your reputation surpasses that of Orochimaru, and even the Akai people give you face. Tsunade is a little bit apprehensive. Advertisement. Ad. She has not mastered Sage Mode herself. Orochimaru was also unable to learn Ryakai Cave's Sage Mode due to his constitution. Only Jiraiya, a carefree person, has learned it instead. What a frustrating experience. Hey, seeing this, Jiraiya smiled even more smugly. Minato's condition is stable, and they are also in the mood to chat and joke. The two chatted casually until the wee hours of the morning. Well, a broken bar. A tree interrupted them. Their attention immediately fell on Minato on the bed. Ahem. Minato opened his eyes in a daze, looking at the strange ceiling, as if he hadn't recovered yet, until he saw two familiar faces beside the bed. The whole person immediately woke up. Master Tsunade, Mr. Jiraiya. How do you? Minato suddenly said, yes, I met Fumi Hisada, and when I was attacked, I used the Flying Thunder God technique to transfer back. Tsunade eyed him a few times and smiled. There is nothing wrong with my sanity, it seems that I don't have to guard it anymore. After she finished speaking, she waved her hands smartly, turned around and walked out of the room. Leave space for the master and apprentice. Master Tsunade. Before Minato could react, he was hugged by the teacher Jiraiya, his head was rubbed vigorously, and his hair was messed up. Minato, It's great that you're okay, Jiraiya said with a trembling voice. Advertisement, ad teacher. Minato was surprised and puzzled. You don't know. The great Toad Sage predicted that you were in danger of death, and asked me to rescue you with the immortal talisman. I came here overnight. Fortunately, Jiraiya let go of him. Eyes flushed slightly. Minato was taken aback. Did the great Toad Sage predict his death? Don't be impulsive in the future. If you can escape from Fumiya Hisada this time, you won't be sure next time. Don't think that time and space ninjutsu will make you invincible, Jiraiya said earnestly. It won't happen, teacher. Minato smiled wryly. I just had a face-to-face meeting with Kotowen, and I almost died before the fight. How dare he go to Gyudanwan again easily? Actually, I'm here, and there is another more important thing to say. Jiraiya's expression became serious, and he took out the fairy talisman from his arms. The light above is dim, but it is still full of gentle vitality. About half the power left. This is what the great Toad Sage asked me to give you. It can be used once, allowing you to enter Sage mode instantly. Your immortal practice has started, so you should be able to use this thing well. Jiraiya handed the immortal talisman to Minato's hand. Minato hurriedly took it. Isn't this the treasure of Mount Maya Ringbaku? How can I? You heard me. Jiraiya cut him off with a serious face. Minato immediately fell silent and looked at his teacher Jiraiya seriously. The prophecy of the great Toad Sage has changed. The son of prophecy has disappeared. The future will be full of disputes, and people will suffer from the pain of war. Jiraiya said in a deep voice. Great Toad Sage believes that the existence of Fumiya Hisada makes the future unpredictable. He will bring disorder and chaos to the world. In order to get the future back on track, we must address the unexpected factor of Fumiya Hisada. Dragon Boat Festival reading big discount. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge. Activity time, June 22nd to June 24th. Chapter 46. But the prices. Minato's eyes widened. He signed a summoning contract with a toad on Mount Maya Ringbaku, knowing the prophecy of the great Toad Sage, disciple of Sensei Jiraiya, who will revolutionize the ninja world. Minato doesn't expect that person to be himself, but he is also willing to contribute to it. Let this change bring peace to the ninja world. But now. The future has changed? Great Toad Sage means Fumiya Hisada destroyed our future? Minato's expression became serious. That's right. Jiraiya nodded vigorously. So, we need to gather all our strength and solve him as soon as possible. The two talked for a long time in the room. The next day, Udatane Koharu returns to Konoha with a scroll written by Minato and Jiraiya. She gives the scroll to Third Hokage. After reading it, Third Hokage couldn't help frowning. The factor that caused the chaos, the destroyer of the future. He dubs the great Toad Sage's prophecy. But Minato's life was saved by the treasure given to Mount Maya Ringbaku by the great Toad Sage, and it was their wish to kill Fumiya Hisada. Therefore, the two parties have the possibility of joining forces. Let Danzo come to see me, Third Hokage commanded Ananbu. Soon, Danzo, who was on crutches, came in a hurry, with a worried expression on his face, and asked, how is Minato's situation? Although Minato's philosophy is not in line with him, but as an important fighting force of Konoha, Minato's death is a weakening of Konoha as a whole. He is no good either. Advertisement. Ad no. Jiraiya rescued Minato with the treasure of Mount Maya Ringbaku. He is awake and recovering well. Third Hokage shook his head. That's good. Danzo breathed a sigh of relief, and asked again, what's the situation with Fumiya Kuta now? Minato has played against him before, so he should find out something. Show me the scroll, Danzo said, reaching anxiously for the scroll on the table. That? Danzo. Third Hokage coughed with embarrassment. Well, Minato was seriously injured the moment he met Fumiya Hisada. If it wasn't for space-time ninjutsu, he would have almost died on the spot. Third Hokage looked away and said, looking at the ceiling. Danzo, who took the scroll and was about to read it, froze slightly. Suddenly, I don't know what to say. There was a subtle silence in the office. I always thought that Minato's performance was amazing, and he was the first person who could come back from Fumiya Hisada's hands, but I didn't expect it to be. Cough cough. Third Hokage coughed lightly, and changed the subject. Jiraiya and the others have proposed a battle plan, which is aimed at Winuta. They want to use the power of Jinchuriki. Please refer to it. Well, okay. Danzo took up the topic tacitly. The next day, one team Anbu, one team Roots, jointly escort Jinchuriki Uzumaki Kushina out of Konoha and head to the eastern part of the Fireland. They are going to snipe Kuta there. Jiraiya and Namikaze Minato also set off after a day of rest. This time the action. Third Hokage personally presided over the event, and all parties in the Land of Fire were also very respectful, including the various ninjas within Konoha who also actively cooperated. After all, the tragedy of the Uchiha clan is imminent. For such a dangerous guy as Gyudanwan, it's better to kill him earlier. Advertisement. Ad. Although Konoha's actions are arranged airtightly, but Guwen is still clear. He was sitting on the top of a hill, and the boulder beneath him was cracked, almost torn apart. A strange feeling came to mind. It was as if someone was watching with malicious eyes. Is it mind perception? Guwen turned his head and looked in the direction of Konoha village. It is preparing to deal with my actions again, and there is a huge malice in it, which is far larger than a normal human being, like a tailed beast. Is Konoha planning to use Nine Tails Jinchuriki? Guwen was thoughtful. After the second metamorphosis, his perception ability improved again. It seems that a special way of perception that is invisible and qualitative is born from somewhere. As long as it is an important matter related to him, it will be noticed. On a whim, not seeing or not hearing, feeling danger and avoiding. The launch time is about 3 days later. Guwin rubbed the space between his brows. That's when I went out to sea. Did you really want to try to kill me at the last moment? Well, let's wait and see. Guwin withdrew his gaze and landed on the wolves in front of him. At his feet lay 2 giant wolves the size of horses and more than 3 meters long. Their size is bigger than the original Wolf King. As for other wolves, there are also uneven growth. Through mental stimulation, the secretion of brain hormones is changed, so that the body receives wrong signals, thinking that it has returned to the growth period and undergoes a second development. It's also doable. Advertisement. Guwin looked at the 2 huge waves. His spirit penetrated into them like a scanner. He saw a massive jelly wrapped in a burning flame. The former is a body, the latter is a spirit. After using a shock Omnimike's Minato that day, Guwin had a new inspiration. He can strengthen his own pheromone, so that the opponent's brain receives information interference, and overwrites normal information processing, thereby forming cognitive interference. In that case, why not be more direct? How about directly invading the opponent's body with a spirit and manipulating the opponent's brain? Spirit is invisible, but it does exist. It manifests itself physically as electrical signals in the nerves. So, I should be able to directly affect the opponent's body by interfering with the electrical signal. After Guwin opened up his mind, he experimented with wolves. It turned out to be a success. Through mental interference with hormones and internal circulation, wrong induction is produced, causing cells to overdevelop and release the potential in genes. But the price is. Guwin looked at the wolves with cold and deep eyes. In his eyes, the spirit is a pulsating fire, the body is a lazy jelly. And on the jelly, strips of silk-like tapeworms are densely crawling inside and outside the jelly. These bugs wriggled like mosquito larvae in a sewage pool. Just seeing this scene gives people a strong sense of discomfort. Chakra. Guwin spit out the names of these bugs with indifferent eyes. More than 1,000 years have passed since the Sage of 6 Paths shared the chakra. On the land, there are creatures carrying chakra everywhere. Now, Guwin sees the whole world as disgusting and ferocious like a pack of wolves. Dragon Boat Festival reading big discount. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge. Activity time, June 22nd to June 24th, Chapter 47. I thought how good Hisadafumi was. However, it doesn't matter if you look at it for a long time. Guwin, as usual, gently stroked the forehead of the giant wolf under his feet. Treat them like a pet. Oh, the giant wolf's head slightly arched against Guwin's palm, lying on the ground with its belly exposed. These days, Guwin's experiments on them are also stimulating their brains. Guwin didn't respond, but looked to the other side of the mountains. It was a vast plain land. After turning over this last mountain, it is the offshore area. Time to go. Guwin patted the heads of the 2 giant wolves lightly, and walked down the mountain. Carrot. Boom, boom. His steps were heavy, like the walking of a giant beast. Oh, the pack of wolves howled behind him and did not follow, but just watched Guwin leave. Until the pack disappears, the wolves return to their original habitat. Guwin continued to walk towards the beach. Along the way, let go of it, sweeping away the mind, triggering a strong electrical signal, stimulating the heart rate of the surrounding creatures to die suddenly. 7.51, 7.68, 7.89, 8 A broken bar, not just ordinary creatures, but also wild ninjas with chakra in abundance. Before Guwin came to the beach, he piled up the value of life intensity to 8 times the strength of life of ordinary people, and maintain a human form. Physique, strength, speed, explosive power, and endurance have all reached extremely terrifying levels. Advertisement. At a few kilometers away, several teams of ninjas in green vests were terrified and did not dare to approach at all. They only dared to follow Guwin's footsteps from afar. Along the way, the forest that should have been lively was deadly silent. All living creatures that can make sounds have turned into mummy corpses like cicadas shedding snakeskin, scattered in every corner. What an evil blood successor limit boundary. Even the fledglings that haven't come out of the nest are spared. He has already abandoned his humanity. This kind of cruelty is as cold as a beast. Several teams are concerned about each other. Guwin was more or less aware of their stalking, but ignored it. Just go all the way. Walk across the plains, to the sea. Under the gaze of hundreds of eyes in the dark, Guwin set foot on the shore, and then stopped. It's now. Someone secretly issued an order. Boom! Exclamation mark. The deafening explosion sounded on the coast. The coastline that stretches for several kilometers is full of flames. The shock wave engulfed the soil, surging like a wild wave, and swept inland wave after wave. Kano actually arranged detonating symbols all over the coastline. Is he dead? At least seriously injured. Our arrangement is very secret. It is impossible for him to notice. I thought it was so powerful, but it doesn't look like much. A group of veterans from the battlefield laughed in a low voice. They were the ones who fought day and night on the Mist Shinabai battlefield, put up pressure from the Three Tails Jinchuriki and 3rd Mizukage, and fought hard to win. Is Jiayu Tanwen, a guy who hasn't been on the battlefield for a few days, really as strong as the rumors say? Okay, Shut up. Advertisement. Ad prepare for the second wave of attack. One of the older men, presumably the captain, scolded. He turned his head and looked towards the shore. I saw a figure strolling out of the raging flames, and slapped it casually. Snapped. The air exploded like a crack, and the air wave surged. A large piece of flame next to the figure was actually repelled by the air wave, and rolled backwards. Snapped, snapped, snapped. The figure repeated the same trick, shaking his hand a few times in other directions. The air exploded and the flames capsized. He walked out of the flames safe and sound, and the scorching fire waves were intercepted by the air several tens of meters away, like a stagnant waterfall. No matter how fast he galloped, he couldn't get any closer to the figure. Could I win? The captain froze for a moment and couldn't help laughing. As expected of a rebellious ninja who was designated as an S rank by the village, he still has some skills. Is the means of isolating the explosion a technique like wind style? The captain talked to himself. Some colleagues have already rushed up. These are the 3 JA ringmen who are skilled in the use of swords. Due to the order of the other commanders, Orochimaru and Jiraiya, JA ringmen is not allowed to participate in the war. Therefore, it was the elite colleagues in the village who launched the attack. All are officially JA ringmen. Let's go up too. Don't let them take the lead, the captain said, walking out from the hiding place. His team members also moved their necks and followed them lazily. Forget it, Captain, guys with knives are fast. Yeah, when we got there, they had already chopped off Wention's neck. 3 technique is blocked in all directions. Even the 2 commanders will have to spend a lot of effort to get out. The team members looked at the coast and said relaxedly. The 3 JA ringnens who attacked first surrounded Guwen with horns at 120 degrees. Advertisement. They draw their knives smoothly, with simple and sharp movements. The sunlight reflected on their blades, and as the slashes were swung out, there were streaks of bright light from the blades. Kanoa really middle dot slash of Mikazuki. Those 3 guys, the speed of the sword has become faster again. TSK. Someone made a sound of envy. Yes. The team narrowed their eyes and slowly leaned forward. After the light reflected from the slash passed, they opened their eyes again and looked at Guwen. Puff puff. 3 muffled sounds came to their ears. Around Guwen, 3 blood flowers suddenly exploded, and the bodies of the 3 sword-wielding ninjas exploded in an instant. Then, the exploded flesh and blood dried up suddenly, turned into dry powder, scattered on the ground. No one could see what was happening. Obviously at the last moment, 3 JA ringnens who are good at Konoha-style swordsmanship were attacking Guwen with perfect angle and timing. The next moment, they were smashed to pieces. It was swallowed up by Guwen on the spot. In the approaching team, everyone's expressions changed. They changed their lazy posture, and their expressions became focused and serious. As expected of an S-rank traitor, this guy has some skills. Cheer up, this is a strong enemy. Don't worry, Captain. It's not like I haven't touched an S-rank rebellious ninja before. I have all of Kirigakure's 7 ninja swords. Boom. Before a team member finished speaking, he suddenly flew backwards. A ninja knife pierced his neck and plunged him into a tree, breaking his neck bone instantly. He reached out in horror, wanting the ninja knife around his neck. But halfway through raising his hand, he lost his strength, looked at his teammates in disbelief, tilted his head, and stopped breathing. Dragon Boat Festival reading big discount. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge. Activity time, June 22nd to June 24th. Chapter 48, The Toad in the Sky. What? The team was terrified. They were unaware of this attack, and none of them could react. Get serious. The captain's face became extremely serious, and he shouted in a deep voice. This guy is probably stronger than any enemy we have ever faced. It's not over yet. Guwen in front turned to look at them. Boom. A beast-like roar sounded in their minds. Everyone was shocked. Their heads seemed to be hit by a heavy hammer, and their will was instantly destroyed. At the same time, the hairs on their bodies stood on end, and cold sweat broke out. A huge amount of fear emerged from the heart beating like a drum. Blood pressure soars, the electrical signal representing panic rushes and strikes in the nerve tentacles. Hey! The eyes of everyone in the team were bulging, and they covered their hearts with their hands. A sharp pain erupted in the heart, and they fell to the ground one by one, staring at Guwen with eyes full of disbelief. Time to count. Everyone in the team stopped breathing. Guwen inhaled lightly, and they all turned into mummies. The essence of flesh and essence of soul turned into traces of heat and entered the body. Plus 0.01, plus 0.01, plus 0.01. Far away. Advertisement. Ad watching the 2 elite JA ringnen troops die. Orochimaru felt chills in his heart. He took a deep breath and turned to look at a young man beside him. See it? Orochimaru said coldly. Your 3 Tomoe Sharingan may not be able to escape the siege of the 3 Konoha JA ringnen, but Hisada One killed them in an instant. Stay in the back obediently. I will notify you when I need you. The young man gritted his teeth unwillingly, but was powerless to refute. He bowed without a word, turned and left. And on the other side, Jiraiya turned a blind eye. His eyes were fixed on Guwen's body, and he said solemnly, let them retreat. Ordinary ninjas are not qualified to participate in this battle. Yeah, Orochimaru nodded seriously. Seeing this, Jiraiya also left. He walked into a tent, bit his finger and used the summoning technique to summon 2 toads. Fukusaka-sama, Shima-sama, please," Jiraiya said to the two toads. "Leave it to us with confidence." Two toad figures stood up and landed on Jiraiya's left and right shoulders. Jiraiya closed her eyes and relaxed her mind and body. In the air, the wandering natural energy, with the help of two Mountain Maya Rinbaku toads, slowly enters Jiraiya's body and combines with the original chakra. Mental energy, physical energy, natural energy. The three are combined in a 1:1:1 ratio. Gradually, a powerful aura gathered from Jiraiya. There are red facial lines on his face and oil paint like eyeshadow around his eyes. He's entering sage mode. Normally, refining chakra requires a quiet environment and takes a lot of time, but with the help of Fukusaka toad and Shima toad, Jiraiya can absorb natural energy faster. Enter sage mode in half the normal time or less. Outside world. Advertisement. Guwen turned his head and glanced in the direction of the tent. He felt that some kind of energy wandering between heaven and earth was being collected. This is Jiraiya preparing for sage mode. Guwen didn't pay much attention, just looked up into the sky. A huge shadow fell, covering the sunlight, forming a huge shadow covering hundreds of meters on the ground. Hoo! Exclamation mark. It was a huge toad. In the process of falling, the mere size of a body caused strong winds and whistling friction sounds. "That's Master Minato's summoning beast. So big. Did it be summoned directly from the sky?" the retreating Konoha Shinobi exclaimed as they watched the giant toad fall from the sky. Guwen grabbed a ninja sword, which was left by the ninja who used Konoha swordsmanship just now. He waved his hand to the sky. Everyone felt a sharp flash of light, like a flash bomb exploding. They subconsciously narrowed their eyes. The next moment, there was the sound of cloth being ripped open. "Kai!" exclamation mark. The blade tore through the air, and unexpectedly cut out a 10-meter-long sword energy, which flew towards the falling toad like lightning. The air along the way was cut open one after another, turning into faint waves of air. Boom! At the same time, the ninja sword in Guwen's hand shattered into pieces. He stared at the direction where the sword energy flew. It was Toad's head, a standing blonde youth. "Minato, be careful," the giant toad reminded. "Don't worry, Boss Wantai," Minato responded confidently. The sword energy cut through. Advertisement. Minato's figure flashed and disappeared in a golden light. He used the Flying Thunder God technique to transfer to avoid the attack of the sword energy, and then transferred back in the next instant. This tentative attack, Minato was in the middle of speaking. "Get away!" Toad Wantai suddenly shouted, and raised his hand to block his head. To be precise, it stood in front of Minato. "Puff!" exclamation mark. Almost at the same time, a cold light flashed through the air, passing through the air like lightning. Toad Buntai's right hand blasted a bloody hole, and a ninja knife shot through the skin and bones of its palm, and went straight through. After penetrating, the ninja knife was overwhelmed and burst into dozens of sharp iron pieces. The iron splinters were thrown at Minato unabated. "What?" Minato's face changed suddenly, and he hurriedly used the Flying Thunder God technique to transfer for the second time. Swish! When he came back for the third time, his expression was frightened for a while, and a layer of cold sweat oozed from his forehead. The lower right area of his abdomen was slowly oozing blood. "Sorry, Mrs. Wen." Minato glanced at Buntai's right hand that blocked the knife for him. A bloody hole like a gate appeared in the palm of Buntai Toad. "It's okay, this little wound is nothing to me." Hamaoan didn't care too much, and said, "But then you have to be careful. I can't block it every time. The speed and strength of the guy below seem to be stronger than me. These a broken bar." Minato was surprised, and then frowned deeply. Toad Wantai has rich combat experience, and his judgment is basically infallible. Jia Danwen's strength is probably even more terrifying than he imagined. Dragon Boat Festival reading big discount. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge. Activity time, June 22nd to June 24th. Chapter 49 Water Style A Middle. Iron Cannon Jade exclamation mark common on the ground. Have you escaped? It's kind of interesting, as expected of the father of the prophet's son. Or the third prophet's son, who was clearly a sure to kill sword, but unexpectedly survived. The same goes for the last mental shock. A thoughtful look appeared in Guwen's eyes. The ones who attacked him just now were 3 ninjas with knives, and there were naturally 3 ninjas left behind. I only used 2 before, and the remaining 1 was not used. Guwen deliberately reduced some of the strength of the sword he slashed for the first time, making people misjudge the speed of the attack. Throw out the next ninja sword with all your might. The speed is close to phoneme. The human reaction function cannot reach the speed of sound, so in theory Minato must die. Guwen was stuck at the time when he came back, and threw the ninja knife in microseconds with 8 times the reaction of ordinary people. But Toad Wantai actually reacted. "Minato, I feel a little blessed by fate. But how much can you be favored?" Guwen looked at Toad Wantai. In his perception, Toad Buntai's body was covered with densely packed wriggling bugs. Chakra is almost integrated into its life cycle, becoming a part of it. But besides chakra, there is another outside force involved. This force weakens the activity of chakra, making these bugs like Cordyceps sinensis, from parasitic to a certain degree of symbiosis. Well, Guwen suddenly turned his head and looked somewhere a kilometer away. Orochimaru? In that direction. Advertisement. Orochimaru's complexion twitched, his sense of crisis was like a thorn on his back. When Guwen looked at him, he seemed to be stared at by a terrifying beast, and his body tensed uncontrollably. This guy a broken bar. Orochimaru showed a look of fear. This kind of power is not something that humans can have at all. The ninja sword thrown is so fast that I can't even see the afterimage. I don't even know how he shot it. If you're not mistaken, Minato was almost instantly killed just now. But now, the battle has already begun, and we can only proceed according to the original plan. Orochimaru bit his finger and slapped his palm on the ground. Summoning technique. Boom. A huge white smoke rose, and a huge snake crawled out of the smoke. And at the same time, the toad in the sky opened its mouth wide, and the fairy chakra gathered in front of the mouth, and spit it out in one breath. Water-style iron cannonball. Boom! Exclamation mark. The air vibrated violently, stirring up circular air waves. A spherical blister the size of a hill fell like a missile. The ground casts another huge shadow. Compared with this shadow, human beings are as small as ants. Faced with such an attack, normal people would feel hopeless, because they couldn't escape. Boom! Exclamation mark. The blisters crashed to the ground. Within a radius of 1 kilometer, dense cracks exploded on the ground, and countless smoke, dust and sand were shaken up and scattered into the air. And at the location where the water bubbles fell, the ground collapsed directly. It sank to a depth of more than 10 meters. Dust spewed out, like a volcano erupting, and the fierce shock wave engulfed it, forming a huge dust storm. The Konoha Shinobi players 1 kilometer away were all overturned to the ground. Those who hadn't evacuated within 1 kilometer had their hearts burst and vomited blood to death. Advertisement. Ad bang bang! Exclamation mark. But after the huge roar, there were 2 thunderous explosions. Just below the bubbles sounded. How is it possible? Are you kidding me? Gamabunta and Minato widened their eyes at the same time. They are the ones who know best what happened. I saw Guwen lightly stretched out both hands, facing the water iron jade whizzing down like a hill, and patted it casually twice. Take 2 shots. The entire water iron cannon trembled violently, then burst and exploded. The bursting water droplets shot in all directions like bullets. The collapse of the ground was not caused by Shuichi at all, but the aftershocks of Guwen's counterattack that cracked the ground. Choke. Toadwentai reacted quickly, pulled out his sword and slashed down in the air. When the toads of Mount Myarinbaku grow up, they will forge their favorite weapons to fight. Toadbunta used a ki that was tens of meters long. With the impact of the fall, it splits the water droplets in front of it, and the blade is bright and slender, sweeping past like a horse. This knife, 1 kilometer away. 10,000 snakes, who had just been summoned by Orochimaru, showed displeased eyes at Toadfumta. This Guwentai has become stronger again. TSK. Boom! Exclamation mark. The blade fell and the earth split open. A crack stretching hundreds of meters exploded. The sword rubbed against the soil violently, and sparks burst out, as if a fire swept across the earth. The clear water produced by the water iron J technique was evaporated to dry most of it in an instant. Countless water vapors were steaming and making noises. Advertisement. Ad cut empty. Toadwentai's face was covered with cold sweat, and a pair of horizontal eyes stared nervously in front of him. Click. Guwen's figure appeared at some unknown time. His feet stepped on its mouth, and its upper jaw was crushed by the terrifying weight. He stretched out one palm and put it gently between the eyes of Toadbunta. The body shapes of the two are like a natural moat. Toadwentai. Guwen's palm is like a caterpillar, stretching out its tentacles and lightly touching its skin. But it is this tiny human palm. Toadwentai is like facing a big enemy. It didn't dare to move. Its body solidified like petrification. Senjutsu chakra actually strengthens your physical fitness, doubles your physical fitness, and your skin is enough to withstand the throwing of ninja kunai. Guwen said lightly. This special chakra has improved the life level of your family. It appears that you, Mount Myarinbaku, have found a way to assimilate chakra. Can you tell me? Guwen asked Toadwentai. What do you think? Toadwentai grinned, showing a mocking smile. Really? That's a pity. Guwen sighed softly, and grabbed behind him with his backhand. There was obviously nothing behind. The next moment, a golden light flashed, and the figure of Namikaze Minato appeared, crashing into Guwen's palm. Sage Art Spiral. Huh? A high-speed spiral blue light ball in Namikaze Minato's hand hit Guwen like a cannonball. Dragon Boat Festival reading big discount. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge. Activity time, June 22nd to June 24th. Chapter 50 10,000 Snakes Die. Click. A large hand gripped the Rasengan, gripping it like a pair of iron clamps. Rasengan turned wildly, and the turbulent flow of Zyuanju chakra was like a cutting machine, cutting and vibrating Guwen's palm with high frequency. But no harm was done. Just a series of sparks bursting out. It seems that Guwen's palm is made of steel. Boom! Exclamation mark. Guwen squeezed the palm of his hand, and the Rasengan burst immediately. Namikaze Minato was shocked. At this time, he is in Sage mode, and his physique, attack, defense, speed, recovery, chakra capacity, mental resistance, etc. have all been comprehensively improved. But following Guwen's gaze, intense fear rose spontaneously. Goosebumps appeared all over his body, as if he had returned to the time when he met Guwen for the first time 10 days ago. That day, Guwen also took a look. Just one look, and he was seriously injured and dying. Boom! A familiar invisible force suddenly fell. It was as if a heavy hammer had hit his fragile brain. Aha! Broken bar. Minato couldn't help screaming, His face turned pale. He turned into a golden light and disappeared again. 1 kilometer away, Namikaze Minato fell to the ground, trembling and trembling all over. Orochimaru hurried over to help him up. Are you all right, Minato? Without a broken bar. Minato's voice trembled, but his eyes remained firm. This time is different. Advertisement. Ad with Sage Mode Resistance. He withstood Guwen's outlandish moves. Although the fear in my heart is intense, it is still within the tolerable range. Slowly it weakened. Did not expect a broken bar. Orochimaru seemed to want to say something, and suddenly looked up in Guwen's direction. The air roared. A huge tie down rolled and fell high towards them. This is Boss Wentai's knife. Minato realized something, and quickly looked at Toad Bunch's place. His gaze narrowed. The huge Toad Bunch grinned and made a stiff smile. His head exploded with a bang. The blood mixed with the brain, and it exploded in all directions like an exploded watermelon. Boss Wentai, Minato yelled in disbelief. His eyes were red, and he was about to rush out, but was stopped by Orochimaru beside him. Careful. Orochimaru knocked him down while quickly making mutas with both hands. Summoning technique Rashiman. Boom. The gates of hell, engraved with sculptures of evil spirits, rose from the ground. This is the enchantment that separates the Pure Land from the immortal world. After being discovered by some ninjas, a contract is concluded in a special way, and they are summoned at critical moments to resist attacks. Boom. 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 The sword landed on the Rashiman gate that summoning came out of, and directly pierced through the 3 gates, almost stabbing Orochimaru behind him. Orochimaru, you owe me one. At the critical moment, Wan Snake twitched his tail and snapped off the stabbed blade. Okay, broken bar. Orochimaru, still in shock, wiped the cold sweat off his brow and agreed. Hee. Wan Snake laughed jokingly. Its huge body crawled nimbly, and its tail was thrown out again like a steel whip, pulling it far away to Guwen on the coast. Advertisement. Ad. Guwen took a deep breath and swallowed Toad Wentai. Plus 0.1, plus 0.1, plus 0.1, plus 0.1. He walked slowly. The air emptied out like a big wave, squeezing out one after another. Didn't see clearly what happened. Only a loud bang was heard. Wan Snake's tail burst into a cloud of blood, and the whole snake hit the ground, creating a crack hundreds of meters away. Many of the Konoha shinobi around Orochimaru were crushed into blood. It hurts me to death. You kid is really strong. Much stronger than Orochimaru. Wan Snake shook his head and got up, but he didn't seem to be injured, but instead became very interested in Guwen. Hey, do you want to sign a contract with our Ryokai cave? I am very optimistic about you. It has a haughty expression, and thinks that those who are admired by it should be honored. Guwen didn't answer. Hey, my uncle is talking to you. Wan Snake became furious, and his body shot out, swallowing Guwen in one gulp. If you don't agree, you will die. Gollum. It swallowed it on its back and let out a ferocious laugh. Ha ha ha. Taste my stomach acid. Puff. A broken bar. Suddenly, a big bag bulged out of its abdomen. Wan Shi's smile faltered, and she looked down at her body with a puzzled expression. Puff. A broken bar. A series of more big bags bulging. Advertisement. Ad. Wan Snake, are you crazy to swallow him? Orochimaru's face changed drastically, and he shouted, spit him out. Boom! Exclamation mark. Wan Snake didn't have time to answer. The whole snake exploded without warning. Blood spilled all over the sky, like a bloodbath. When the stinky and poisonous snake blood fell on the ground, it made a corrosion sound and white smoke rose. Many Konoha shinobi practitioners were soaked, and their flesh was melted away screaming. Suck a broken bar. There was a heavy inhalation sound, as if a huge animal was breathing. Orochimaru's face was covered with cold sweat, and he looked in the direction of the sound in shock. Guwen, who was bathed in snake blood, used his evil ability to devour the corpse of Wan Snake into a mummified corpse without a hair being hurt. All the flesh and blood that exploded turned into balls of powder. Wind-style Saidachi. Namikaze Minato appeared in a flash, exhaling a strong breath from his mouth. B-level ninjutsu cast. Immortal chakra boost ninjutsu, and its power is doubled directly. Normally, just a sharp gale of playground range. At this time, it turned into a terrifying storm, with countless sharp wind blades piercing down, plowing a gully several meters deep on the ground. Snapped. Guwen slapped his backhand, and the air exploded. A fierce air current collided with the storm of the scythe weasel, opening a wide passage, knocking away all the wind blades on this passage. Boom. At the same time, Guwen glanced at a group of Konoha shinobi including Orochimaru. The mental shock fell instantly, covering everyone. The release of pheromones still takes time, but the mental shock came in an instant, and the moment they looked at them, they began to invade their bodies. Hey. Everyone's heads shook, their hearts beat wildly, and they fell down clutching their chests in pain. With Guwen's light inhalation, all of them turned into mummies. Dragon Boat Festival reading big discount. Recharge 100 and get 500 VIP coupons. Immediate recharge. Activity time, June 22nd to June 24th.